Hey, everybody out there in YouTube land, how y'all doing tonight? It's me, Dave Scott, and we got one hell of a show for you. Now, sometimes we have to change on the fly when it comes to guests, and that's exactly what we had to do tonight. Our guest in Australia, Brett Farrell, could not make it, and we were having some troubles getting a hold of each other. So what did I do? I called up Science Bob. I said, Science Bob, we need to do this. And he's like, you're lucky I had a nap this afternoon. And he's making some coffee right now. So we're going to get into a little bit more woo tonight with UFOs. And I want to continue the conversation a little bit from last night as well. And I want to say thank you for everybody being very cordial and professional in our chat rooms over a very heavy conversation we had last night about MUFON. And we're going to get into a little bit more of that with Science Bob as we go on through the night. Probably get it out of the way right early here. So let's give a shout out, as I do every night, to everybody. Good morning, Philip Blair. Good to have you here. The lovely Renee. You're looking majestic today. Bee's Nest. I don't know what you look like, but hey, good to have you with us, man. Go 66. Boo. Boo. Hey, Commonwealth Andrew. Good morning. I hope you're having a great cup of tea this morning. Crystal Light. You're looking stunning and fashionable. The Philip Matlock. Good to see you, my friend. Lou Fawn. Worsley. Always a pleasure. Martin R. Good to have you here, man. Little Deborah, thank you for coming in. You're looking lovely this morning. Gary the Spudger. Never mess with the Spudger, man. Never mess with him. Brett Lewis, good to have you here. And there she is. The kitten from Manitoba. The lady who is a minx in her own mind. Manitoba Becky, good to have you here. Who else do we got? YTFP Chris, thank you for coming on in. Jason Nucker, good to have you here. The lovely and talented Annie Svensson. The Jim Christie, everybody. The Jim Christie. Make sure you give him a round of applause. Cable Guy Matt is here, everyone. Hey, Cable Guy Matt. You know what that means? Contact Cable Guy Matt today, where you can get your free piece of coaxial cable. You cannot buy these in stores. Limit one per household. All right. Try and take advantage of your free coaxial cable, courtesy of Cable Guy Matt. Hey, PBR, good to have you back. Kingslayer, thank you for coming on in. All right. Who else we got here? I actually saw Cable Guy Matt today. We were hung out for a few minutes. It was good to see you, Cable Guy Matt. Always a pleasure. You're an awesome dude, man. Thank you for being a friend. Dirty Filth. Dirty Filth. How are you, buddy? Cat Chaser. Good to have you here. Thank you. Science Bob is just brewing some coffee right now. So, yeah, I'll
survive.
Oh, there he is. There he is. Are you brewing right now or what?
It's brewing, but I'll gulp it down in a second.
Oh, yeah. Well, we got time, man. We got time. Not a big deal. Yeah, Cable Guy Matt. I actually told Cable Guy Matt today when I saw him, I said, dude, people get pissed off when you're not in the chat room. They keep asking, where the hell is Cable Guy Matt? Where is he? Yoo-hoo, Cable Guy Matt, where are you? You know, it's true. It works exactly like that. Exactly like that. Let's see here. All right. Yeah, that's true, Cable Guy. That's true. Oh, you're a jerk. You're a jerk. I love you. Hey, Cat Chaser, thank you so much for the super chat kicking things off tonight. I really do appreciate that. Let's see here. Oh, shoot. I forgot. I got to set my alarm early tonight. Hold on. I better do this before I get started here. Hey, Science Bob in the chat room. How are you? I got to be up like at like 6:50 in the morning, because I have to do an interview on our station in Toronto. Oh, that's just ugly. Oh, that's just ugly. All right. We got like 25 seconds here before we get going. Make sure you give us a thumbs up and hit subscribe if you haven't already. We would greatly appreciate that. Where the hell did my mouse go? Oh, no. Oh, wrong mouse. That's why. Oh, no. There we go. Send out that final tweet. We'll go over here. Hey, Davey. Good to have you here, man. Welcome back. And we'll turn that signal on. Bill WD-40. There he is. Bill WD-40. He greases it up every night, everyone. All right, music's on. Remember, you can do a little shopping at the SOR Vault on our website. And you can join the Space Travelers Club for $5 a month as well. Science Bob, everybody. This is what we live for. And let's have a great show. Here we go. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you openly to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates across North America and digitally on TalkStream Live and Revolution Radio. If you want to take a listen to our archives, they are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Follow us on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show and on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. Now, originally we had Brett Farrell scheduled to be on the show all the way down from Australia to talk a little bit of hypnotherapy, but communication problems with a big, big ocean in between. We could not get a hold of him today, and his Skype wasn't working. His phone numbers weren't working. Maybe I just didn't know how to dial Australia. I have no idea. But, you know, it was weird because him and I talked about an hour after last night's show. He called me. He's like, Dave. I'm like, Brett. And he's like, I can't wait to be on. And I'm like, okay, great. Let's do this. And I couldn't get a hold of him. Never returned any emails. But, you know, things happen. We don't know. That's a far ways away when you live at the bottom of the planet there. But that's okay. We love our Aussies and our Aussie listeners. And I hope you are enjoying tomorrow, because that's what they are doing, enjoying tomorrow right now. Anyways, so I called up a good friend of mine, Science Bob McGwier, as he is a part of SkyHub, building these wicked-looking cameras that could potentially pick up UFOs in each and everyone's home who has one of these cameras. Bob, if you haven't known, recently retired from the science faculty of Virginia Tech University. He has done a lot, seen a lot, and in the last year and a bit, his involvement in the field of ufology has really taken off. He is a star on the rise, and he is also friends with experiencer Chris Bledsoe. So we're going to get to Science Bob tonight. We're going to hit him up on a bunch of different topics, from UFOs, disclosure, the Wilson documents, and we'll even talk a little bit about MUFON as well. Then in the bottom of hour number 3, I will bring you the SOR Newswire, brought to you by Paranoia Magazine. Mr. Bob McGwier, Science Bob around our chat rooms. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well, and I have a brand new French press. Put some grounds in it and made some coffee. Let's go.
All right, let's make this thing happen. Now, Bob, I appreciate on behalf of our audience you stepping in here on short notice to do this. I think that's very classy of you to do so. And Bob, for people who may not be familiar with what you're all about, you know, you are someone who has his name on 20 satellites plus up in space right now. You are and I mean this with all due respect, a major science geek and one of the most brilliant people I have ever talked to on this planet. And I have to ask you, you know, being as smart as you are, what the hell are you doing in the UFO field, man?
Oh, well, just I kind of got interested again when all of this UFO, UAP stuff started coming out of the Department of Defense. And that's when I began to remember the things I experienced when I was young, which included, going outside with my telescope and sitting out at night and occasionally seeing a UFO. And finally, at the age of 19, I had a missing hour while traveling home from university with my girlfriend at the time. So all of that memory kind of came back, and I went, I'm going to check this stuff out. And I began looking around. I found Richard Dolan in his books. I found some interesting investigative works on Roswell and other things. So I just began listening and paying attention like a lot of other people. I looked at UFO videos. And then as a member of the Richard Dolan membership, I listened to Richard interview Chris Bledsoe. And I wrote Chris a piece of mail. And I told Chris that I was a scientist at Virginia Tech, and I was getting close to retirement, and I had rekindled an interest in UFOs and UAPs. And I wonder if he would be okay with Sharon and I visiting him. And I didn't hear from him for 3 weeks. And then he wrote me back and told me, yes, so you guys can come. I says, well, it's close to Christmas. I'm going to come after Christmas sometime in January. So Sharon and I went and visited Chris in January, and he told me at the time that the reason I was there is that Jim Semivan knew who I was and told him to let me in. So we became good friends. Yvonne and Sharon became good friends. We're very friendly with that family. We really like them, and they like us. But Chris and I went outside, saw 2 massive orbs, a bunch of fireflies, a flash bulb popping things in the sky, a purple aura, and that was the beginning of my UFO modern day experience.
Bob, and I can understand that. I mean, that can change a lot, in a person's life when they have that close encounter, and one of the big arguments that is always out there, people of your stature, scientists of your stature, always make fun of this topic. They try and stay away as much as possible. Is that just rumor and conjecture, or is that actually true? Because I remember, Chris Cogswell telling me that he's like, Dave, scientists are geeks. We want to know about this stuff. We may not talk publicly about it, but we want to know about this. So was this ever hot button topics of conversations through your years of doing science, from teaching it to working for the companies and the groups that you worked for over the years?
Never once. So I never talked to anybody about it at all until I had my experience and became involved. And then when it looked like I might work on trying to figure out how to use the sensor assets that belong to the United States government, my boss at Virginia Tech became interested and told me that I should pursue it. And I began to do it. First started UAPTN, and then that transitioned into SkyHub, and Steve McDaniel is the lead developer for SkyHub, and I'm doing some stuff in the background while I build my life here near Auburn, Alabama. I'm a graduate of Auburn, and have a retirement home, building up equipment for my geek experiments and that kind of stuff. So, but my interest in sensors for doing all sorts of things is lifelong technical pursuit, including the founding of the company Hawkeye 360, which looks down at the Earth with orbiting satellites to find the location on the Earth of transmitters. And this is useful for all sorts of reasons. We have 3 in orbit, and 3 more are scheduled to be launched soon, and the goal is around 100 spacecraft. I also started Federated Wireless, which is a telecommunications company, which is providing cell tower channels in a unique and new way that the Federal Communications Commission decided to do, and I did some interesting technology and started a company for cellular telephones. So my technical abilities and technical experiences and personal experiences have kind of all fused and made someone who has not only the technical ability but the personal interest in doing this. So I never had a UFO thought, as far as I can recall, until the UAP stories began to flow out of the Pentagon. TTSA was formed. So all of that stuff is the reason I began to be interested, and then my experiences are what have led me here.
Okay, Science Bob is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. We appreciate him coming on in on short notice. Bob, let's get into it. You were part of our panel last night with MUFON and the situation with Jan Harzan. And, I want to get a little bit more intimate about this conversation with you on a one-on-one level, because you are somebody who is coming in with a very professional background, looking at this field from the outside. And, I'm sure there are things you absolutely rave about and things you absolutely cringe over. And as someone who is becoming quickly one of the respected authorities in this field very, very quickly and astutely, I don't know how comfortable you are with that, but it is happening and it is a reality. I'm curious in regards to last night's conversation, now that you've had 24 hours to let that conversation sink in, 48 hours since the news broke, how are you feeling about all of this?
Yeah, I felt very, very good, Dave, with the conversation that you put together. I feel that it was useful because you had a variety of opinions, diverse group, all different walks of life in the UFO community, and from new people to people that have been around forever, from experiencers to nuts and bolts people to the paranormal lawyer, etc. So it was a really good conversation, and it caused me to think a lot. So the entire field, from beginning to end, is a collection of stars thrown in the sky, unorganized anywhere. And they're not in the galaxy. They're just flung across the sky. There's no organizing authority or principles. And that's because no one in the field exerts leadership. MUFON is in a position to help provide some leadership, but they need to take on the kind of activities that seem to be sidelined now, which is they have a trained cadre of field observers and field investigators, and they seem to be letting all of that slide. And I think that's a mistake. Now, the field teams should evolve. They should evolve from not only being forensic experts, both photo and forensic evidence gatherers, crime scene investigators applied to UFOs. They need to be more than that now because of all the new technologies that are coming into play, and that could provide us a major new source of information. But MUFON has heretofore not organized itself in a way that it could help that, and I think it's probably a lack of resources, but I don't have first-hand knowledge of whether or not it does. But it is needed. There needs to be an organizing entity providing some kind of leadership, and by that I want to make sure that people understand. I'm not talking about coming down with an authority, waving a magic wand or a sword or a pitchfork and telling people what to do. I mean, providing guidance, providing resources in terms of materials, providing organizational activities where things get going, and MUFON could be a clearinghouse, and if it develops the resources, actually provide guidance, leadership, and startup kinds of funds for activities, and encourage people to do things in this field, because I believe in the field of dreams approach to this kind of thing. If you build it, they will come. So in my two companies, back in the spacecraft stuff I did with AMSAT, my experience is exactly like the field of dreams. If you build it, they will come. And you have no idea what they means. It's you do an activity, you provide kind of leadership and opportunities, and people will take advantage of them. And the UFO field needs this. MUFON could do it, and they are not doing it. But someone needs to, and I think MUFON is uniquely situated to be able to do it, but it needs to evolve from where it was to where it needs to be.
One of the solutions that I thought of today as I was thinking about this is I really think one of the ways that they can save face is by having an independent inquiry to dig up every hole, to dig up every computer log, to investigate the board of directors, to investigate absolutely everyone in that Western area to see what is going on, who is involved. And I think if they are able to do that and they are able to come out clean from that, I think that it would be one giant step towards respectability again within the community, that they are doing something right to move it forward. The other thing, and you and I talked about this off the air earlier, when in Canada, as everybody knows, I mean, it's cliche, I know, but hockey is a big thing here. It really is. And about 20 some years ago, when it came out that this pedophile named Graham James had abused his players on the ice, or his players off the ice, not all of them, but a number of them. Okay. Hockey Canada immediately got involved and immediately started making every coach, every manager, every volunteer, every trainer, anybody involved with hockey, you had to do a criminal record check. And, it only costs $20. Okay. But if MUFON made their members, their investigators, their state directors, their board of directors, whoever it may be, have a criminal record check sent in. If somebody can't afford the $20, they're not going to afford the membership in order to get in. So why not spend that extra $20 and have somebody bring in their own criminal record check? I don't see anything wrong with that after this entire incident. What's your thoughts, Bob?
I think those kinds of publicity, helping moves, something to help assure the public and their membership that the organization is self-policing. Something like that needs to be done. Whether it's exactly that or not, that will be up to MUFON, because it's a corporation. It's incorporated in some state in the United States where people are afforded some kind of rights, and there'll be rules and laws and regulations about how all of that can be done. And I'm sure they'll have to work out agreements for anybody that submits themselves to such a thing. So it's going to take a little time. MUFON has got to decide how to move forward. Should it do something akin to that, there'll be hoops they are going to have to jump through in order to meet regulatory and legal and privacy requirements inside the United States. So something like that would be good. What it exactly will be, I can't say, because I'm not familiar with how they are organized outside. I know they're a 501c3, which is a nonprofit educational and research institution.
Science Bob McGwier is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. We got 4.5 minutes before we got to go to break at the bottom of the hour. Bob, if you were to draw a 3-step guideline, and this is the last we're going to talk about MUFON tonight. If you were to draw a 3-step guideline on trying to get MUFON back on track to credibility, to survivability, how would you do that? What would be the first 3 things you would try to accomplish?
The board should have a meeting. It should have an internal investigation as quickly as possible. And if anything jumps out at them, they need to deal with it quickly. They need to have an internal financial audit. They need a look at all the people that are currently the executive leadership and the board of directors for our MUFON internally. Do whatever internal investigation they need. They have, I know already, a private investigator that works closely with them. So they could do it internally in the beginning for very little money. And once they've done that, they can say, we've made an initial assessment. We believe we're okay, but we will do more. And then they should say that we're going to go off and do a careful search for our next executive leadership. And then the board should set policy for this executive leadership. They should bring in their advisory group and set up a working plan for the next 5 years, and then hire an executive that could implement that plan.
I think that's a good way to do it. I do. And, the other thing we should mention here, and I have been over the years extremely critical of some of the things that MUFON has done. Okay. But we also have to remember 2 things. The court of the public is a hell of a lot different than the court of law. And unfortunately, even though all fingers are pointing towards this being extremely truthful, Jan Harzan does have, he is innocent until proven guilty, number 1. But more importantly than that, because we will be following that on this show. Okay, more importantly than that, what we also need to remember, Bob, and I'm sure you'll agree with this, is one bad egg does not mean the entire organization is garbage. It doesn't mean that the people involved are horrible. You have friends on there. I have friends on there, and you have felt the emotion of everything that's going on. I talked to one of my friends on the board of directors today, and I could hear it in his voice. Like, he was exhausted. He was tired. I'm sure that there's been a lot of tears flowing because he can't believe this has happened. And we have to remember that MUFON isn't Jan Harzan. It is its own entity, and there's real people behind this entity.
I completely agree with that. And what happens from here depends completely on how the organization behaves, how it conducts itself. If it can conduct itself in a transparent and open manner and find the right individual to help implement the plan that they need to lay in the next 30 days, with the clear understanding that these plans are dynamic and they change with time. Look, for all we know, the President of the United States is going to come out next week and show us the bodies of aliens. They have to be adaptable. They have to be able to adapt to the dynamics of society. So they need to make a plan, assuming things mostly stay the status quo. They need to make a plan that includes the existence of TTSA, includes the existence of the Department of Defense saying that UAPs are real, and that the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence has put forward a proposal for the intelligence bill that will include UAP studies, the content of which is to partially be made public. I think all of these things are things that MUFON needs to address internally with its own program.
Absolutely. And, let's hope that they do. Coming up, when we come back with Science Bob McGwier here on Spaced Out Radio, we're going to get more into UFOs here, because I know you guys have a bunch of questions. If you want the scientific answers, you got to ask the questions if you're in one of our chat rooms or on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio, because one of the smartest men in ufology is on this show tonight in Science Bob McGwier. We'll be right back. There we go, Science Bob. Oh, yeah, Science Bob. Oh, yeah. There we go.
There you go.
There we go. There we go. See, you'd just be in the chat room tonight anyway. So, I mean, this is more fun. This is more fun.
Well, I'm chatting with Michael Rotunda right now.
Oh, Michael Rotunda. The Michael Rotunda. Let's see. Marty on Twitter says, I was hoping when Dave started talking about hockey that the MUFON subject was over. I guess I was wrong. Hey, hockey season hasn't started yet, Marty. And by the way, my Canucks or my Oilers are going to steamroll your Vegas Knights. Steamroll. Marc-Andre Fleury is going to look like a kitchen sieve. The flour is going to go right through. Oh, yeah, I went there. Totally went there. I love hockey talk. Love hockey talk.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Just like I love Auburn football.
I don't understand that. I've never been to a college football game.
You need to come down here and go to one.
I would love to. There's a little thing called COVID that is the border closed.
We need to wave a magic wand. The UFOs need to come down and clear all that up.
I know, right? That would be awesome. That would be awesome.
And you can get into my 85-degree pool at the last week of October.
Let's see, the last week of October here, it will be around 0 Celsius.
I'm just rubbing it in.
Oh yeah, you go right off. Yes, I know that I just refreshed on my end. I know that there is a little bit of a sync lag there between my audio and what my lips are doing. I guess we just got to put up with it. I guess we do. We got about 3 minutes, Science Bob.
You're good.
I hope so.
The coffee is helping tremendously. Perfect. I still had a little sleepy head from where I went to sleep in my recliner watching the news at 4 p.m. this afternoon.
How's the beard?
Oh, the beard's doing great. It needs to get about an inch longer because the hairs around my neck are curly.
Yeah,
and so they're curling up in a weird. I hate it. So I need to figure out what to do, how long to get it, all of that. But the beard looks good. It barely needs grooming, other than that one thing that's bothering me. Hey, Susan Place, and we'll just figure out how to go from there. But I'm going to keep the beard.
Good.
Hey,
Good.
Joe Monk.
There's SJ just coming on in.
Hey, Julie.
See, look at all.
Julie's another Alabamian.
She's got great hair too. She actually sent me a photo of her hair. She's got fantastic hair.
She and I we're both Twitter and Facebook friends, and I've seen a picture of her and her significant other, and she does have nice looking hair.
Very nice hair. You can tell that is well shampooed and conditioned. Probably put some essential oils in there as well.
Could be. So I have a place down in Gulf Shores, Alabama, and I don't know exactly where she lives, but it's kind of on the north end of Mobile Bay.
I don't know where that is.
Alabama is along the Gulf Coast, and Mobile is the big city in Alabama that lies on the Gulf Coast.
Sounds like there's a lot of alligators there.
Lots of them.
Yeah. Alligators
Joe Monk, I'm a Sleepy Science Bob, Joe. That's right. There's Worsley NGW.
Yeah.
He's
There's
another
Bomber, too.
Bomber. I see him. Worsley NGW is a regular on the Dolan forum.
All right, Science Bob, here we go. Hey, thank you so much to Cat Chaser for kicking off the super chat tonight. We really do appreciate that around here. Thank you so much. And we're going to get going with the second half hour here on the show. Let's have some fun here with Science Bob, shall we? Music's on, Science Bob.
Go for it.
Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is underway tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show. Really do appreciate that. We want to remind you that if you have missed portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Follow us on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show and on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Coming in, we're talking UFOs tonight. Science Bob McGwier is with us, former faculty member of Virginia Tech University. Science Bob, welcome back.
Happy to be here, Dave.
Hey, I just got a text message from Joe Mergia, and he's like, I can do an hour or so if you want. How about if you're up for it? Up to you. You know, I mean, I'll put you on the spot here.
What? Joe's a good guy, but let him come in.
Yeah. Okay, Joe Mergia, you can join us at the top of the hour. I know you're listening, so make sure you get your Skype ready. Joe has fantastic hair right now. He's got them tight curls, real Italian. He's the type of guy who, you know, he has to bring tissues to a Rocky movie because every time Rocky wins, he gets a little emotional over that, you know. So I don't blame him. I'm a Rocky guy too.
I love Rocky.
Me too.
Man, I saw that thing in the theaters when it first came out.
Oh yeah.
And I've been a Stallone fan ever since.
Oh yeah. You know, his first Rambo movie, totally off topic, I know this. His first Rambo movie was actually filmed in a town here in British Columbia called Hope. And
I believe.
And to this day, now 40 years later, Hope, British Columbia still makes huge tourism dollars over the fact that they have a little picture of like a cartoon picture of the John Rambo with the head cut out. You put your head in there. Okay. Mm-hmm. Because people want to see where it was filmed and which buildings were bombed and blown up in there. And every time I go through there, because for me to go down to Vancouver, I have to go through Hope, and it's just hilarious. Like, oh yeah, Rocky, Rambo.
I love Stallone and that. I love Richard Crenna and that. And I'm a Stallone fan. Rambo movies and Rocky movies are great.
Oh, second to none for action films. Except maybe Chuck Norris.
The Expendables were also great.
I agree. Science Bob McGwier is with us here. One of our listeners in our chat room, and I apologize because I missed the name here, was asking, in your opinion, what's a UFO?
Oh, Michael Rotunda asked. Yes. Given what we have seen, from all sorts of videos from the UAP interactions as given to us by trained witnesses and pilots, etc., in the United States Navy, United States Air Force, and other civilians, they are intelligently controlled craft of some type. What they are doing, why they are here, how they do what they do, I have no idea. But is there an intelligence controlling them? There's absolutely no doubt in my mind because of the way they interact with aircraft, according to both pilots, radar operators, and other observers.
Okay, so if you say they are controlled intelligently, are you saying are you more convinced, let me ask it that way, are you more convinced that it is of earthly intelligence or of an extraterrestrial intelligence?
I simply do not have an idea. I just know the behavior has to be some type of intelligence. It might be artificial intelligence. It might not be biological at all. I'm just telling you, they are under control. They're not sitting there randomly walking around.
Okay. So with that, I mean, in all of your education, did you think you would be talking about little gray men with black eyes flying these craft from Zeta Reticuli? And yes,
Nope,
it sounds like a sarcastic question, but I mean that with all due respect.
Nope, and just so we're absolutely clear, I don't claim that's what we're talking about now. What I claim is, by some misunderstood, unknown physical mechanism, these things maneuver, and the actions they take while they're doing their maneuvers are under intelligence control because they react to what our Air Force, Navy pilots and other things do. They react under intelligent control. I don't know how they control their vehicle or anything about it. I'm just telling you they are acting intelligently because they interact with the things that see them.
So if you were to turn your science hat off and put your woo hat on, do you believe they're more interdimensional? Do you think they're us from the future, maybe time travelers? Or do you think they are from the outer reaches of space and have been able to manipulate what we would consider modern physics in order to get here?
Okay, so I know some recent physics that says that experiments have been done that indicate there is a parallel universe. So that is a possibility. Emotionally, this is just Bob, your friend, with an emotional response. I'd really love them to be aliens from another star system, because that means one day we can hop in a spacecraft maybe and go visit them. So that's what my emotion would like for it to be. And that's probably because that's kind of what I believe since I was a kid and watched The Day the Earth Stood Still.
All right. So let's just say that we are being visited by extraterrestrials. Now, I believe it's true. Okay, I'll put the tinfoil on first. I totally believe it's true because I've seen them. At least what I perceive as them with my own eyes. All right.
Yes, you've told me the story.
And I can say that I am a believer. That being said, Bob, there is no proof. Like hardcore proof. Even photographs aren't even really hardcore proof anymore. But the point that I'm getting at is this. You have met with some very important people on this planet. And if you want to discuss who they are, you're more than welcome to. I am not going to bring that up in from our private conversations. And I'm not trying to put you on the spot either. But in those areas of these very important people, in your opinion, what would happen if to the governments, the government agencies, the schools and universities, if all of a sudden we found out they are out there?
Well, there would be a massive reaction of all different types. The first thing that would happen is each of the governments of the world would want to know, are they a threat? And there'll be a lot of assessment of their ability to make trouble for us in all sorts of ways. We already understand from the testimony and observational instrumentalities that have been brought to bear on the entities that are acting around our military exclusion zones, around ships and other things, airplanes, whatever, that they could be a threat, even if they are not. So there would be that assessment. Scientists want to know, how the heck does it work? How do they go from point A to point B? And the National Science Foundation in the United States will start letting out grants to study the entire set of physics, the biology, et cetera, of all of this. So there would just be this massive reaction. And of course, the public would demand it because they'd want answers. Especially, they want to know, Are my children and my job and my home safe? I mean, look, right now we're having trouble protecting ourselves from the effects of coronavirus on society. But if an alien came and landed, lots of people would demand to know what the heck's going on. What should we be doing? Should we be worried or should we be joyous? And there would be religions would have a variety of interactions. Recently, the Vatican has, kind of put out this decree that says, if children from another planet are coming, they're also children of God. So there's going to be this humongous societal upheaval. All sorts of things will change, and how we act will determine whether or not it's good or bad, so long as they have good intent, whoever or whatever they are.
Okay, so if that were to happen, how do you think it would break down? I realize this is extremely hypothetical and it might put you in a little bit of an uncomfortable spot, but how do you see this breaking down from the moment that signal of true contact comes through to, say, the SETI Institute, or let's even say there is radio contact made, or like the movie Independence Day, where all of a sudden a craft shows up over Los Angeles or New York or Washington, D.C.?
The reactions would be completely different if the big spacecraft showed up over the top of Los Angeles, the Empire State Building, and the White House. They'd be completely different. That would be immediately assumed to be a threat. And the response we saw from the United States military in the movie Independence Day would be nearly exactly what would happen. If we had contact where the SETI people, and like Carl Sagan's book Contact and the movie made from it, the reactions would be similar. The military types wanting to know or intelligence types wanting to know whether or not it was a threat would come in and jump on and try to take over things from the scientists, and the scientists would fight back to protect their right to do the study of what they themselves have discovered. So Contact and Independence Day are the kind of two things I see, and there would be craziness just like there is in Contact with religious fanatics and all sorts of people showing up, or like in the movie Arrival, where the thing showed up out in the middle of Montana and tens of thousands of people would rush out to try to get a glimpse. So all of those things are completely predictable. I think science fiction has done a good job in terms of looking over the possibilities of how we would act should such a thing happen.
Okay, so if that were to happen, do you think that there would be any warning whatsoever from, in this case, because you're in the United States, me being in Canada, I'm sure up here we'd offer them free health care, license for marijuana grow operations, and whatever else could, probably season's tickets to their favorite hockey team, except the Leafs, because they're always sold out. But nonetheless, do you think that there would be some sort of warning put out by the U.S. government if this were to happen, if all of a sudden that signal was reached, or do you think they would cover up that signal?
My belief is that they would cover it up and try to arrange a meeting out of view of the public, so they could make an assessment of what it is, what do they want, how can we benefit from them being here. Are they a threat to our existence? They would attempt to cover it up and do the contact out of sight of the viewing public. That's my opinion.
Okay. Would the purpose be, because my first inclination when you say that, the purpose would be to try and keep the military industrial complex going and keep that favorable to and advantageous to the United States military, because in the end, that type of secret could invoke a lot of power, man. A lot of power on this planet. Even more power.
Okay, so yeah. The public servants, which have been elected by the people in the United States and in Canada for that matter, would all react in a number of different ways. The good ones would say to themselves, it is my duty to protect the people that elected me, all the people of my country. I am here to protect them and ensure their well-being. So they would want to control the contact and interaction until they made an assessment. Now, surrounding the United States government, Beltway bandits and military-industrial complex contractors would all want to see, is there some way we can gain an advantage from learning something from them? Those are natural, predictable responses. So public servants would try to do their duty. Commercial and corporate interests would try to gain an advantage. These are normal. Everything's normal about it. I don't even think it's that evil. It's just how things are, how we've organized ourselves in order to provide sustenance, activities, and so forth, and feed the government and keep the companies going, because capitalism is how we run.
So you think in the end that even if there was contact made, we're not going to know about it?
I think it's possible initially we will not know about it. Now, the entities may say, we're not here just to meet you. We're here to do this, that, and the other. And frankly, if they can fly from one star to another, I doubt that we would have the power to stop them from making themselves known.
Okay, so, and this gets to a little bit of woo here. All right. Do you see it going the way of what we saw, say, the 70s movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind?
That would not be unlike what I believe would happen. But it would not be at a national monument. It would be in the middle of a large military base. Is where the meeting would be arranged. That's if the entity gave the government input on this. So if the government got to choose the site of the meeting, it would be in the middle of a military base so they could close off access to the general public. If the entities want to say, I'm going to come down and land on top of Devil's Tower because I saw y'all made a cool movie about that when I was scoping this place out, then there's nothing the government could do about it, in my opinion. But so it just depends, Dave. There's lots of possibilities. And since we're speculating, I speculate that a smart entity would not only want to be known to one government because of the jealousies that would be stoked over our entire planet.
Well, I mean, that's going to be the interesting part, because now comes the big question of it all. Is this about the betterment of humanity or the betterment of national defense?
It depends. It depends completely on who is in control of the overall situation. So it's very, very clear that as commanders-in-chief and presidents of the United States, Barack Obama and Donald Trump are very, very different individuals. So how each of them will deal with this would be utterly different, be totally different. They wouldn't even approach it the same way. Both of them would involve intelligence gathering and military in order to ensure that they met their duty to protect the country and the citizens. So that I'm just talking about just the United States. So there would be differences in how Barack Obama, Dwight Eisenhower, or Donald Trump dealt with all of this, and except for the fact that they would involve the protections, the defense part of the United States government.
All right. So in your opinion, with 5 minutes to go before we go to break, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much of a threat are we talking about here?
We simply have no idea. We literally have no idea, Dave. We don't know. We have no notion of what the entities are and why they're here. So I actually believe the Pentagon, when they released their statement about UAPs recently, after all the pressure brought on them by John Greenwald and Tim McMillan and others, that we don't know what they are. They are truly unidentified. And again, I want to emphasize You got to understand how these statements are drawn up to be released to the public. It went through every major department of government, and each of the major departments of government, but mostly the intelligence community members and the Department of Defense and the president and the Gang of Eight in the Congress, all of them got to have their input onto what was put out in those statements. And what was the outcome? They could not say that they were made by human beings. They also could not say they were made by aliens. They couldn't say they were made by interdimensionals. The statement that came out is they are unknown. So we can't even hazard a guess as to why they were here or how they will behave.
Okay. So is there then a certain group, whether it's in Washington, D.C., whether it's in Virginia at Langley, whether it's in Maryland, is there a group of people who are out there controlling this entire manifest destiny of ufology that we don't even know about?
Okay, so having been inside the government for much of my career, there's never any one thing controlled stuff. I'm just telling you there isn't. Ostensibly, the President of the United States is the commander-in-chief, but the President of the United States can't know everything. And so internal to the Department of Defense and the intelligence community, et cetera, each department head would want to set up an activity so their department would be involved in dealing with whatever this is. And so there's going to be 100 different organizations trying to grab some piece of it, because that's just how it works.
All right. So basically, do you think then there are companies out there that are divvying up ways on, if this is true, how they can take advantage of it for their own profit and stocks for their shareholders?
Of course, that's the way capitalism works. How can they gain an advantage over their competitors? That's the way it works.
Because I really can't see, a company like IBM and Lockheed going after this.
Lockheed is the largest defense contractor in the entire world. There's a lot of reasons they don't want to do a whole lot more than they're doing. So if they took on something as controversial as dealing with this, my opinion is that Lockheed could run into a lot of problems. Now, if they were ordered to do so under some existing contract by the United States government as part of that contract, then what they would do is rack up a big old budget under a change order change to the contract and then charge the government a pile of money, but they would try to figure out a way to do it. But I suspect that an entity as large as, say, Lockheed Martin wouldn't just run up and jump on it and say, let us do it. I could be wrong. But I'm just telling you, the bigger entities, they've got what they need to run. They could always use more money, but what they want is money that they could decide what to do with on their own. Oh. And each of these entities takes some profits and they do internal research and development.
That would be fun. That would be completely fun.
That would totally fun. That would be cool.
That's Up Science Bob's alley right there, everyone. Up Science Bob's alley. Bob, I'm going to get you to hold on right there because we are going to go to break at the top of the hour. And you know what? We're going to bring in Joe Mergia, who's working on this New York Times piece. Well, he's not working on it, but he thinks it's going to be happening regarding a new UFO story by Leslie Kean and Ralph Blumenthal, the Pulitzer Prize winner. And we're going to talk some Wilson documents. We're going to get into more ufology, and he's going to join Science Bob and I next here on Spaced Out Radio because, well, we just love talking some UFOs around here. And Joe has fantastic hair. So we're going to get this going here right after this. Stay tuned. More Spaced Out Radio continues. Just going to rub the pups out, Bob. I'll be right back.
Go for it.
Okay.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at MightyMooseBeard.com today.
The SOR Vault is open for business, and we have some cool swag for you to pick up. All you have to do is head over to our website and click on the SOR Vault. You have a variety of cool logos to choose from, and put them on anything you want. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, coffee mugs, you name it, we can get it to you. So do your shopping by supporting the store you love. Get your Spaced Out Radio swag at the SOR Vault today.
Hello, space travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
The party is always on at the Moose Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is where you want to be when visiting Canada's West Coast. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose cranks up the rock while serving some of the best rated food in the city. The menu starts at $6.95. Why party anywhere else in Vancouver when the Moose is right there? Get your horns up and rock with the Moose, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune in to SOR where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother Is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com and remember, Little Brother Is Watching.
For the price of 1 cup of coffee a month, you can become an SOR Space Traveler. The Space Travelers Club is a place where you can interact with other listeners, either live during the show or on our great forum. We want your stories, pictures, comments, and ideas. You'll get live video streams, exclusive content, and be a part of our newsletter. Stay in touch with everything SOR. The Space Travelers Club is just $5 a month at spacedoutradio.com.
Joe Mergia in now, Bob.
All right, man.
All right. All right. Let's get this going. There he is. Hey, Joe. How you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you?
I'd be good if my headphones all of a sudden didn't fall underneath my chair here, but we got them. We got them. We're safe. How's your hair?
How's it going, Joe?
I'm good, Bob. How are you? I'm glad to be on with you finally.
It's good.
Yeah. How's your hair, Joe? We need an update.
My hair is pretty good because I did over an hour at Grant Cameron, so I had to make sure it was presentable and not too big because I didn't want to scare the Canadians in Winnipeg. So
well, yes, that
maybe Vancouver people can handle it a little better.
Well, after I got mine cut on the weekend, it's emotional around here right now, man. It's very emotional. But
it's short?
Yeah, I cut it Sunday. 15 inches, man. I donated it.
I don't know if I want to do this interview anymore.
I know. But I donated it to someone in our audience who is in need of hair for a wig for cancer treatment. So it does.
That's awesome.
It does come with a good cause.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice that you did that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, if there's somebody out there that wants to look like Ronald McDonald, I can donate my hair.
Have you dyed it orange?
No, but that may be happening soon.
That would be awesome. You taking on a new job that we don't know about? Because clowns scare me.
It's called dog scarer. My dog would run away so fast.
Oh, this is awesome, man. This is awesome.
Did you guys talk Rubio at all?
Not yet.
No, we haven't yet.
Oh, good, because that's really good.
I have not really kept up after the initials round of stuff.
It was tonight. He was interviewed in CBS Miami, and basically 2 minutes, the guy's like, "So what do you think?" He's like, "Well, there are objects that are in our military airspace, and we don't know what they are." And the Navy's been dealing with this for almost a decade. We've known about that in other countries, and I think it's better for us if they're off planet than if it's an adversary that has a technological advantage. I'm like,
that's interesting.
Oh,
hold
really?
That. Hold that.
Yeah.
Hold that.
Yeah, because we did discuss part of that, not Rubio's reaction. And Rubio is speaking.
Okay, boys.
For the Bible.
Music's on. Music's on. Hold on.
With Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. And on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Hour 2 of Spaced Out Radio is underway tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for joining us. We really do appreciate the time. We welcome back everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates across North America and digitally on TalkStream Live and Revolution Radio. All of our archives are free for you at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam is set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Comophorus is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as a clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show and on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Science Bob McGwier is here tonight. We're talking all things UFO as we go. We are also joined by Joe Mergia, who has been on the top of the news heap when it comes to the Wilson documents, whether they are real, whether they are not. And gentlemen, we welcome you both here now.
Happy to be here, Dave.
Yes, thank you very much for having me back, Dave. And hi, Bob.
Hey, Joe.
Yeah, good to have you guys here as well. Thank you so much. Now, Joe, you were paying attention tonight about Senator Marco Rubio down in Florida, and he happened to be interviewed and asked about the fact that his role in the intelligence community and on the committee for the U.S. Senate, it has him wondering what UFOs really are. And he was asked about this down in the media down in Florida.
Yes, and it's really interesting, his response. You know, he said that we have, basically we have objects that are entering our military airspace and we don't know what they are. And it was the most interesting thing he said was, I think the best solution, or I don't know if he said best or one of the better solutions, but he said a better solution would be is if they're from off planet instead of being from an adversary like Russia or China. And when he said that, I'm like, did Senator Marco Rubio just say the better option would be if they're off planet? And somebody said, well, he's right. I'm like, well, we don't know the intent of these objects, so we don't really know if that's right. We might, in the end, if we find out they're a threat to humanity, then we might choose. I think Russia or China might be a better option. But as far as just off the top of his head, if he doesn't know any more, I can see him saying that. So that was a big deal to me.
That's interesting. Bob, what do you think when you hear Senator Rubio talking like that?
Okay, Rubio is a politician, a member of the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, and a pretty conservative, religious Republican. For him to say that, he has thought through it carefully. So I was shocked when he was chosen, because I tell you now, he was chosen to be the person that put that amendment forward for the intelligence community bill. And it's interesting that I brought up before that Rubio is a Catholic conservative Christian. And so he might be in contact with or communicating with or being influenced by the Vatican in dealing with this as far as his ability to have an input to how the United States would react to whatever it is. So I just think it's very interesting that Rubio is doing this, and that statement is really, really interesting. And I agree with him and others. It would be more interesting. But you asked me earlier, what did I hope they were? And I told you, I hope they're aliens from another star that are coming here because they're curious, because that means we could learn how to go and visit them. So it's just, I just think it's very interesting, and Rubio's comments are interesting. He's a careful person, and I think his response is suggestive.
And
go ahead, Joe.
One really big aspect, and I can't name my source, but Rubio has been briefed about the crash retrieval program. There's zero doubt in my head. So just keep that in mind when he gives those answers. And there's no doubt in my head that he's been briefed about that. So I don't know exactly what that briefing it consisted of, but it's not just him who knows about that program. So that they're definitely trying to catch up to this story. And UFOs in the sky are just the very beginning. And I'm really curious to see where this goes, to see what happens if that legislation gets passed and the New York Times article comes out. It's gonna be really interesting.
Joe, you are someone who is very much pushing the fact that there is a story out there potentially coming in the New York Times here in the near future about potentially having a crash retrieval. So when you look at that and you hear that, and your sources that you are working hard with are telling you this information, whether it's firsthand, secondhand, or thirdhand, how are you going about holding about that? Or how is this becoming a public forum rather than staying as a secret?
Well, the original reason we found out is because Ralph Blumenthal went live on Facebook with Michael Hall, the paranormal lawyer, and it was about 20 of us who listened in, and that's how we found out that the New York Times was interested. I'm like, I didn't think it would go live, and it did go live, and I live tweeted it, and then we found out later on that Ralph Blumenthal did not want it to go live. He misunderstood what was going on. So that's how we first found out about it. And then I just talked to different sources. They're like, yep, New York Times is working on it. And then towards the end, I got one of my best sources, and they're like, yeah, they're working on it, and it's supposed to come out next week. So I'm like, okay. And then the update was, well, it might not come out next week, which is this week, because the New York Times is going through some tough stuff. If you've seen, one of their editors resigned recently, and so that slowed things down. But it's not going to stop the article, as far as I know. I hope not. I have not heard that. So that's that. And I think it's going to be, as far as who's going to be in the article, Eric Davis, Will Miller, those two I would almost guarantee will be in that article, and it'll be about the crash retrieval program. And I know they were investigating that 1961 SNIE MJ12 document, which everybody and their brother has told me is fake, and I'm 100% convinced that it is an accurate portrayal of another document. It may be a retype, but the original says the same thing. That is located. My source, who's a need-to-know guy, said he examined it in a 3-letter agency and said it's legitimate. And there's other people who have looked at it. It's legitimate. So if that document is included in the article, that's a huge deal, because MJ12, just in the regular people around the world will say, I don't know what MJ12 is. So that's interesting. There's a group. Okay. But in ufology, a lot of people are going to start crying, because they have just totally put down MJ12 as a fantasy. And I never got into MJ12 until recently when I got this document. I've avoided documents, and now I'm like, all right, it's real. And people have come at me so hard. I mean, email, Dave, audio, phone calls, just trying to convince me so hard. And the names that you guys know, it's like, and they've tried to convince me so hard that it's fake. And I'm like, I appreciate that. I cannot argue. I don't know documents. My source is impeccable. It is real. It is real. So that's a big part. I hope it makes it into the article. I just know it was part of the investigative process in the beginning.
Joe, what if this article doesn't come out?
I will be moving to Canada if the article doesn't come out, Dave. So get your couch ready. It's coming out. It's coming out. It may not come out right now, even if they kill it. I mean, I cannot control the New York Times killing the article. This stuff is coming out. And this is speculative. I think whoever's visiting here is basically, you had your time. Your planet is in big trouble. If you don't announce it, we're going to start showing up a lot more. That's my speculation. And I've heard it from people. It's not like a source. It's just a speculation from people who have basically experiencers. And whether or not that's true, Nicole, who you had on the other night, she had an experience. I don't know how long it was, but that was a pretty good experience. There are other people having experiences. Had a friend who hasn't had experience in such a long time. She's like, you know what? I had a UFO sighting the other day, the first time in a long time. So I think that is going on. I can't prove that, but that's my opinion.
All right.
Wow. Well, tell us about it.
Which part? Just
the sighting.
Well, the sighting was from a friend. It wasn't me. Nicole had the sighting. You saw what Nicole had. She put it on.
I know about Nicole.
My friend would not go into detail. She just said, she goes, I haven't had a sighting in a long time, and I just had one today. So it seems like people who are experiencers their activities starting to pick up. I don't have any data to prove that. But see, that's what I think. If that's really going on, if some intelligence is like, you've had your chance, now it's our turn, unless you get your act together, that might be driving, the UAP task force. And I don't know where the New York Times started their investigation. I don't think it was with Wilson Davis. I think it was last year they started. I don't know what started that. Was it Elizondo going on Fox News and saying, we have debris from a UFO? I don't know. I'm really curious if we can find out when this article, if it drops, which it hopefully will, we could talk to the reporters and see where it started.
That would be interesting.
Science Bob, I want to ask you this, okay, because you've played both ends of the game here. All right. How much of this article or this potential article, in your opinion, is being held back by lawyers from both sides? Government lawyers who would probably be tipped off that this is going on and this is a potential story. The New York Times lawyers who are saying this is something we need to run. What's your thoughts?
Okay, so the government always is asked for input on an article like this, and the government will respond with whatever the government is told to respond and whatever manner is told to respond by the chief executive, which is the president. And those advising him are put in charge of dealing with this. So the government will respond because a paper like the New York Times always runs stories by them for comment. So they are forewarned. And after that, every line of the article will be gone over in detail by both editors and lawyers to make sure the New York Times owning company will not get sued, will not be accused of making stuff up. All the evidence that is brought to bear to support the statements and contentions made in the argument will be gone over with a fine-tooth comb. And the two authors that we presume are going to be on it, Ralph and Leslie, they're going to be driven crazy by this entire process. But it's what the New York Times does. I'm not sanguine like Joe is that the recent craziness at the New York Times, where people have gone in and fought to have people fired for their political, for having what is unacceptable. People write opinion pieces, et cetera, in the New York Times, got fired or others got driven off. I'm not sure that has anything to do with it other than these were important people in the editorial staff. So it may be the case that the New York Times has slowed down while they get new editorial leadership before they make a final determination on something as controversial as a major UFO article. And they're just going to go over everything Leslie and Ralph have to the nth degree to make sure it's solid.
Okay, Bob, I want to ask you this, considering that kind of how the alphabet agencies work, would this be one of those types of stories where the alphabet agencies, whether it's the CIA, NSA, NRO, whatever it may be, and hi, Gene in DC, if you're listening, thank you for tuning us in. Been a while since I invited you to call me. All right. But the fact that I'm asking this is the fact that I'm assuming that in order to have an article like this, people like Keene and Blumenthal would have had to talk to people in the know. And would these alphabet agencies or government agencies be asking their own people who any potential source may be on this, leaking information?
Dave, I'm going to tell you, I just gonna have to say I just kind of don't know. I have opinions, but I'm not sure I have any facts.
Okay, well, what's your opinion on that then? Be hypothetical if you would.
So I think there are a lot of people that have lots of experience, lots of dealings with this, and everyone's kind of been hidden undercover, ashamed to bring it out, discuss it, and all these other things. And what is needed, if the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence and the House Select Committee on Intelligence get all these bills together, they go through and pass and signed by the president, the committees need to bring in lots of different experienced people, both military and civilian, to try to understand what's going on. And hopefully an entity is empowered that will do something besides listen only to military people. So I just think there's a lot of stuff that needs to go on, and it is really a tough time for this to be happening because of all of the economic and health and other issues that the world is facing. It's just tough right now, Dave.
Okay, Joe, I'm going to ask you the same question. Do you think that maybe these alphabet agencies are doing their own investigation to see who is leaking any potential top secret information to both Keene and Blumenthal?
I mean, that's not my area of expertise, but I would think yes. And I would think just on a basic level, they're just checking. And the people who are sharing information with the Times are probably checking with their people saying, hey, I'm sharing this just so you know. And these guys have been at it a long time. They're not going to share, despite what somebody on Twitter accused me of espionage or possibly engaging in espionage, that these people are too smart. They're not going to share that kind of information. But I'm sure they run it by, their bosses say, hey, this is what I'm going to tell the New York Times. Just make sure there's nothing in here you have a problem with. And, Eric Davis went on various shows and talked about the crash retrieval program that we have. And people are like, well, he has loose lips. He shouldn't be trusted. I'm like, no, the information that he gets from people who have the need to know, they know they're giving him some stuff because they know he may one day get that need to know information. So they're sharing stuff in a skiff, and they know he's sharing basics. He's not sharing details of the program, which I think Bob has spoken about. It's okay. He's sharing details. He's not read into that program, so he's not bound by any NDAs. And it's amazing some of the stuff he shared. You're listening, I'm like, did Eric just say that? I'm like, he's the only one talking about crash retrievals, and he spent so much time getting that information. And the meeting with Admiral Wilson, that was one of his fact-finding missions. And somebody else said, well, he really stabbed Wilson in the back because in the beginning he said he was known as somebody who doesn't talk. But that's not what it said. He was known for somebody who doesn't talk to the media. He's known as somebody who doesn't talk to UFO groups. But he told Wilson if you read the documents, he said, I'm going to use this for private and personal research. And that's what it was. It was handed out to guys in NIDS, Bigelow's group, and they used it, and they tried to find information about the crash retrieval program. It wasn't made public. It's just because Edgar Mitchell died and they found his documents. So that's not Eric Davis's fault.
All right. So where does this go, Joe? As we've got about 5 minutes to go before the break, where are we going with the Wilson documents? What's next for the public?
I don't think it's about the documents anymore. It's about the New York Times article. What do they have in it? Do they include the Wilson documents? What do they include? Do they include the 1961 document? And then we want to see how the mainstream people react. And I've had this debate with people. They're going to blow it off. They're going to say, I don't really care. I've known about it all the time. But I really don't think so. If this article is as good as I hear, it's going to be a major reaction, and people are going to want to right away. The question is going to be, okay, they're here, they've been here. Who are they? What do they want? And that's when we start getting into the interesting, aspects of this, and that's where it can get scary for a lot of people. For me personally, I heard you guys talking, whether or not they're interdimensional. None of that stuff bothers me. I assume they probably are interdimensional. It's probably something not great. Some aspect of it is not great for humanity, and it doesn't bother me because I think on a consciousness level, we can deal with it, and that's really where we need to go. I think we can battle this, quote unquote, battle it once we, I said we should get 8 billion people meditating on the planet and see how they handle that, whatever, if there is some negative aspect to this, because I think humans are so much more than we give ourselves credit for.
We might be, but there's 8 billion different approaches to everything. If there are 8 billion people, it's hard to get us to act together. It really is.
I agree. And it's like, like with the Princeton eggs, with the random number generators that became less random. It was during events like the Academy Awards or the O.J. Simpson trial. That's when people were doing the same activity at the same time. And that's where those random number generators became less random. So, yeah. But if the world accepts this on a level and we can present evidence saying, oh, maybe this is a threat on a spiritual level, maybe we can get a couple of billion. I don't know. I don't think we're going to get 8 billion, but we could definitely come together and give it a shot. I would love to see, what would happen if we had 2 billion people. All right, today's meditation day. Let's see what we can accomplish. Let's go after this negative entities if they exist.
If we got 1% of the Earth's population all acting together, we would change the world. That's all amazing. It will take is 1%.
That's amazing. What is that? 800? Let's see. So 8 billion. So 800 million. Is that right? 80 million. Yeah, I think I think it's doable, Bob. I think that's why I'm excited. I'm excited to see what we can do.
Me too. I'm excited to see what happens here as well, guys, because, in the end, it's going to either make or break ufology. This story is either going to jump out and continue to grow, or it's going to whittle on back to the way it was always as a fringe topic, and we all forget about it for another 10, 15 years, and then we, bring it on back. That's just the way the cycle is going.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. If anything, ufology may go away. It's going to be the mainstream people that jump on this, people who have never heard of this stuff. That's the audience we're going to go for. At least me, that's really the audience I've always been wanting to interact with, just people in the very beginning and just take it from the basics. And that's why Unidentified is so important, that show on History Channel. It's for people who have never really thought about this. That's where they need to start. We can't jump from, oh, okay, it's real. By the way, they're interdimensional and they've been influencing mankind since the beginning. Have a good day. We can't do that. I don't think there's anybody really can handle that much of a jump. So just start with the basics. And ufology really isn't their target anyway. TTSA is targeting Congress, and they're targeting mainstream people who are not interested in this subject. That's who they're targeting. And I do think TTSA knows a lot of the story, and it's their plan to do it slowly. But crash retrieval happened, and now their plan is kind of out the window, so they got to kind of speed up a little bit.
For the crowd who believes that this is just rumor and conjectures, we got a minute to go here. Bob, I want to get your opinion on this because I know Joe's. How do you make or break whether or not these stories, whether it's MJ-12 or the Wilson documents or Eric Davis versus Admiral Wilson, how do we know what the truth is anymore? And we may have to continue this after the break.
I think in things like that is the legal definition in the United States. There's a sufficient evidence so that you can demonstrate that people ought to believe beyond a reasonable doubt. And it's completely different if it's science. But in terms of trying to influence public opinion, it's enough evidence to show it's beyond a reasonable doubt.
I think you may be right there, but it is something that we do need to discuss, and it has to be a long-form discussion, not just for a show like this, but we all have to see how this is going to play out, because the chessboard is always moving, and nobody's been eliminated from the game just yet. Everybody, you hold on. Joe Mercia and Science Bob McGwier are going to continue with this, and we're going to continue on Spaced Out Radio. UFO talk all night long here on the Mighty SOR. All right, boys.
It's pretty good for a pickup game.
I know. It's fun. It's definitely, I love this. This is great.
Well, we can officially restart the show because Danny Silva has arrived, everyone. Danny Silva has arrived.
Great. Is he here?
He's in the chat room.
What's up, Danny?
Oh,
hey,
yeah.
Danny.
I wonder if Danny has
We're still live on YouTube,
I wonder if
right?
he has his hat on backwards right now, sitting there in front of the bookshelf, staring off into the sunset, wondering, why aren't people calling me Mr. Danny Silva?
I used to wear my hat backwards, but now I can't put a hat on because my hair is too big. It's just too big, Dave. I cannot get a hat on.
See, I can finally put a hat on, man. I'm so excited that I can wear a hat again. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
Well, I have to wear a hat or my head will burn.
Hey, Science Bob, did you buy yourself a riding lawnmower yet?
Yes, I did.
What'd you get?
I need it to cut 4.5 acres.
What'd you get?
I got a John Deere 140.
Nice. A nice ride.
Oh, it is a good ride.
That is good.
And it does the job. It goes right through the weeds.
You know, the only thing that...
Dave,
yeah, go ahead, Joe.
No, when we come back, definitely bring up the fact that we haven't proven anything yet. I mean, right now, it's all talk from me and other people, but the article has to come out. I mean, that's a big thing.
Oh yeah.
But we also have the task force. I think they're going to release some of those videos, some of the full length, and I think people are going to freak because the videos we've seen so far, they're kind of boring. I mean, I love Gimbal and Go Fast and Tic Tac, but to be honest, there are no right angles. There are no anti-gravitic maneuvers on there. And I think that the full videos, from what I hear, they contain that. That will wake a lot of people up too. So the article and then the videos will be a start if we get that next year. If that's how long it takes, Bob would know better what we're looking for as far as time frame.
Hey Bob, you know how you can tell that Joe has never ridden a riding lawnmower before? Is because he
How can you tell?
He interrupted our conversation about riding lawnmowers.
I used to push it. Yeah, I pushed mine. I did not have a riding lawnmower.
Well, I got 5 acres I got to mow.
Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, I got to ask you, Bob, does your riding lawnmower have a cup holder? Because mine doesn't, and that's the only thing that bugs me about mine.
It does indeed.
Oh, fuck. Okay. I'm a little jealous right now. Yeah,
I've got to have water because I'm going to tell you what, dude. It is 85 degrees an hour after the sun goes down. It's hot. I have to have water.
Oh my gosh.
Where are you, Bob?
In Alabama.
Yeah, it's. I spent a summer in New Orleans in a mechanic shooting a restoration show on muscle cars. It was so hot, no air conditioning in the car place. It was horrible.
Oh, that's awful. Because
it's
140 to 150 degrees in a closed up, unair conditioned car.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah. Well,
God.
we had fans and stuff, but here in
That's
Vegas,
not
it's 110, 112, and the air conditioner is struggling right now. But that's Vegas, so we're used to it.
I haven't hit 60.
Try.
I haven't hit 60 degrees in like 4 weeks, guys. All right.
Jealous. I'm jealous.
Yeah. And
jealous.
Yeah, I'm like, it's been like anywhere between like 49 and 56 here.
I'm scared to see my light bill the coming month because we are way above normal.
Same here with the air
Global
conditioning.
warming is for real as far as I'm concerned.
Come to Canada. You'll change your mind.
I might have to immigrate after they open the border.
Well, where are you in Alabama?
So I went to Auburn as an undergraduate. So I am 30 miles from the Georgia border in Alabama near Auburn University.
So how far from Huntsville?
If Mobile is the bottom and Huntsville is the top, I'm halfway and on the right. So I'm in the central part of the state.
How long is that drive to Huntsville?
2.5, 3 hours.
Hold on.
My goal would be to interview Travis Taylor, Eric Davis, and Bob McGwier in one sitting.
Oh, that would be fantastic. I would love to meet both of them because I don't know them.
Yeah.
Hold
That
on.
would be awesome. And yeah.
Hold on. I actually have to look up where Alabama is. Okay, there it is. All right. Okay. Now, why didn't you just say north of Florida, man? And, I would have got it. Yeah, I could see where there's gators there. Oh, yeah.
Oh, there's definitely gators. Yeah, my mother-in-law walked out on her back porch one day, and there was a gator sitting on her porch waiting for her.
Oh,
yeah, I don't miss that.
I never seen a gator outside of the outside of a zoo.
Well, we see them. The worst thing we see is water moccasins.
Oh,
so
yeah. That's right. Blow up your pool.
I once did a boat over a moccasin bed, and they had their angry circuit flipped over, and I spent 15 minutes beating them, trying to keep them out of the boat.
Oh, no, that is that's my nightmare right there. Hold on, everyone. Here we go. Music's on. We passed the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate you all taking the time. Want to remind you that if you have missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Instagram, will you? At Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Tonight we are talking right now the Wilson documents, Wilson files. What do we believe? What do we not? Joe Mergia and Science Bob McGwier are here. Joe, I want to start with you on this one right off the bat. You know, people are getting to the point here because there is so much rhetoric, there are so many stories, there's so much information being passed around. It's happening very quickly in the internet age. What do we believe and what do we don't? What's out there? Why should we believe this now?
I don't know if you should. I mean, believe is a tough word for me, but I do believe the documents, the Wilson Davis documents, are a legitimate representation of what happened in October of 2002 between Eric Davis and Admiral Wilson. As far as what was in the documents, what was told to Wilson by the project manager, it's hard to believe anything. I have my opinions that was an accurate representation of what's going on in that particular special access program, but I don't know that. But you speak to other people and they're like, yeah, that kind of stuff, that is out there. We have an intact craft. Will Miller is in my, I interviewed him about that. He's in my article, Commander Will Miller, who met with Wilson, with Greer and Edgar Mitchell back in '97. And he briefed a lot of people in the Pentagon from '89 to when he retired. So yeah, I think that basically, the documents, there's no doubt in my mind. And like we said before, you're like, I don't think right now we've done anything as far as make progress. I'm just putting it out there, and we need the New York Times to finish the deal. I do not have the resources the New York Times has. There are people out there that have more information about those documents that'll put it over the finish line. And I think the New York Times will be able to contact those people. Also, we need the Senate Intelligence Committee. And then tomorrow is a big deal, too. I don't know exactly what's coming, but George Knapp and his photographer, Matt Adams, and Jeremy Corbell, who worked on the Bob Lazar documentary, created that, and Skinwalker documentary, they were posting a picture from Edwards Air Force Base and tagging it with Lazar and Skinwalker and UAP. And then Matt Adams, his longtime photographer, videographer, said, some big news in the UAP world. And I'm thinking it's related to Lazar and crash retrievals. And I think that story might be coming out tomorrow. I'm not sure. So that's another big thing. What do they have? I had my speculation, but I think I was wrong. It was more, direct information about Lazar, but I think it's going to be something that'll push the ball forward a little bit. And a lot of people will find it interesting from what I'm hearing, but I do not know exactly what it is.
It would be really nice. It'd be really nice if all of a sudden they were, allowed onto Area 51, maybe S4, and showed some empty cargo bays on the side of a mountain or something. That's what I'm hoping.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, well, Edwards Air Force Base is a long way from Area 51.
Yeah, and I saw that, and I'm like, so did they fly from Edwards Air Force Base to Area 51? Because I saw that, and I looked on the map. I'm like, oh, it's in the opposite direction. So maybe it has nothing to do with S4. I don't know, but I was hoping. They went to Edwards. They flew them to S4. They saw some stuff. They videotaped it, and the news will be on tomorrow. But I really don't know. And that one, I don't think we have to wait very long for that.
Well, do they not? fly Janet jets into Edwards as well?
Yes.
There you go.
So that would make sense.
But
Maybe they caught a Janet jet.
Wasn't the flux liner seen on Edwards? Or was that Holloman? Where was that?
That I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
I don't know. I don't know that.
It wasn't at Area 51 because it was an air show. I believe that was at Edwards, but I could be wrong, totally wrong. But look, that's a major test facility, Edwards is. Major.
Well, I can tell you this. One of our listeners, Joe, lives about 40 miles north of Beale Air Force Base. Mm-hmm. And the weird stuff that he photographs coming out of there is incredible. He even got a photo of something that looks very, very eerily similar to the gimbal film.
Mm-hmm.
And it was.
I want to ask Bob.
Yeah, go ahead.
If he think this is my theory, just from listening and to everybody, including you, and I think that Mr. X, he says, we have this technology, and Will Miller, he says we have transluminal craft that can travel space-time, and I think we do have these type of craft that can do amazing things, so much better than we have today, like light years beyond. But I also don't think we figured out the craft that we have in these SAP programs, the alien tech or whatever it is. I don't think we figured that out because there's a consciousness aspect to it. So I think there's two different questions. We do have incredible craft technology, but we have not back engineered their technology. What do you think about that?
I think that that's a completely reasonable hypothesis if you assume that everything you said is correct. Right. By the way, I know Mr. X. He and I are good friends, and we are working on technology together.
That's exciting.
Okay, so if that technology is here and we haven't been able to retrace how it works or anything along those lines yet, does that then put into a lot of speculation, a lot of the mythical stories that we've heard, all the way from Eisenhower trading humans for technology to J-Rod being at Area 51 showing them how it works, to anybody like David Adair who launched a rocket and was picked up by the U.S. government and flown to Area 51. I mean, there's a lot of big stories out there that this is going to either make or break, Bob. And I'm curious, if we haven't gone that far, there's a lot of people lying.
Yeah, I totally agree. The single worst scandal in all of presidential history would be facts that come out that support your contention that Dwight Eisenhower knowingly traded human beings for technology. That would be so horrible, it would be hard to get over. So I just, that's one of those that I have a hard time buying. But now look, maybe it something like we can blow your planet to smithereens, and we need some of these conscious entities, and we're going to occupy their bodies with our own consciousness and do stuff with them. And in return for doing that, and you're not causing us a ton of grief, which you can't do anything anyway, we're going to give you some technology. So in other words, if Dwight Eisenhower was presented with a fait accompli, and he could not in any way influence the outcome, he might be okay with taking the technology and doing something with it because he couldn't stop what was going to go on anyway. I just don't believe he did it really.
But it goes more beyond that. I mean, you think of Clifford Stone, you think of David Adair. I mean, they are the lesser knowns to Bob Lazar, but I mean, their stories then get put into question. There's others that are put into question, whether it's presidents of the United States, whether it's current senators, former senators, and Congress people who are in there. I mean, this goes right down the chain. It goes right down the chain, Bob.
Okay, so one more thing is I heard in the last few days, because I haven't had time to look, that Clifford is dumping lots of stuff all over the place. And I don't know the veracity of that, but it sure would be interesting to find out that Clifford Stone is dumping all the stuff that he's kept secret for a while.
And I've rejected Clifford Stone and David Adair. I mean, I saw David Adair's lecture back in the 90s, and my impression was I didn't really believe him. But now I'm reevaluating everything. I reevaluated Lazar. I reevaluated portals. I reevaluated so many different things. So I think everything is in play right now. It doesn't mean I just blindly believe it. But yeah, I definitely want to go back and look at their stories again. And if he's dumping information, I really want to see what he has.
Guys, what if it's about what is old is new again? Okay. And what I mean by that is, I know there are people who are looking into jump rooms and portals. I know people who are looking into the Zendras, and Grant Cameron has looked into both of those. I know people who are looking into the government side, the hidden agencies, everything like that, including both of yourselves here. Okay. What if it's all about what's old is new again? All because in the last year, we've seen the Lazar movie come out from Jeremy Corbell. We've seen people talking about whether or not again, and the debate continues on the alien UFO or the alien autopsy video. I mean, there's a lot of stuff all of a sudden coming back. What if this is just all hyperbole, Joe?
Hyperbole in what way? What do you mean?
Well, just a bunch of hyperbole and conjecture that people just have nothing new. And they're trying to find any type of information on things that are old to make them fresh again because there's nothing more to talk about.
Right. Yeah, I know. I've seen that argument online. And first of all, Holloman, fantastic source, tells me it's legitimate. No details, though. No details as far as anything with Eisenhower. And Grant Cameron has done amazing work with some of that with Bob Emenegger and the history of that. I don't think if nothing happens with this article and the UAP task force, peters out, then that argument is valid. But it's in my opinion, it's gonna happen. It's happening, Dave. There's nothing at this point. I don't think anything is gonna stop this. And I think it's okay to look at older stories like Lazar and go back, and especially since Lazar, tomorrow we're going to find out something from George Knapp, I think, or in the next couple of days. We don't have to wait. It's not like I'm predicting something in 5 years. I wouldn't be so vocal about the New York Times article and the crash retrieval stuff if I didn't think something was coming soon and within a couple of weeks, a couple of months. It's not like I'm saying, 2 years from now. Otherwise, I would not like this to drag out. I mean, we've looked at the same videos since 2017, 3 videos, and we still talk about it. So, but this is so much more than that. And I can't tell you you're wrong, but I don't think it's going to be very long before we can have something really to talk about. Because like I said, the article is going to be amazing, assuming it makes it past the editors, which I heard it already has. We're just waiting on timing. So I can't dispute your theory, but just be patient. I just tell people, just be patient. We waited over 70 years. You can wait a couple more weeks. Let's see what happens.
We have different conditions. What are the different conditions? The government admitted UAPs are real.
Right.
That is a major game changer.
That's huge. People just dismiss this. And then Marco Rubio's talking about, the better option is they're not from this planet. Come on. It's like, when do we have the guy's the head? I don't know. Is he the head of the intelligence?
No.
Intelligence?
No.
Well, he's on the committee, right?
Yeah.
Burr is the head, right? Richard Burr.
Burr resigned when he got in trouble about his stock movings.
Okay. So, but we still have a senator who's very public talking about UAPs and the better option that they're not from this planet. It's like, and he's saying they're a threat since we don't know where they're from, which I totally agree with him. It's just amazing. It's amazing. I never expected this would happen.
I apologize. Marco Rubio is the current chair.
Okay. Yeah, that's really a big deal.
Huge deal. That is now a really big deal.
Why isn't all of ufology? All of ufology should be just jumping up and down at what's going on just with that alone, let alone the New York Times, and then we have the task force. So it's going to happen, guys. I mean, it's going to happen, and we're going to know relatively soon whether or not that's right or not within a couple of weeks. The end of the year at the most. I think it's going to just be it's breakneck speed. So much stuff's going to happen. I don't think the world's going to ignore this. And I bought a Philip Corso signed Day After Roswell book today. It was the only one I could find. I had it validated by a friend of mine who does authentications on signatures. And I hope Roswell's part of the New York Times story, but I have not heard anything about that.
I think if they do come out with something, it's not going to be from any place that we know about. I think that makes sense. They have done covering up Kecksburg, Roswell, Shag Harbor, Aztec, Phoenix. Yeah. Okay, they've done that enough. Okay, and I think if they come out with anything, knowing that the mainstream media is so dumb on this topic, and I say that with all due respect to my colleagues, all right, I think that they know that there's not going to be a single reporter out there asking about Roswell or the aliens or Kecksburg or any of these crash or alleged crash sites. They're not going to do it. It's impossible. They're going to bring it out from some place that we never heard. And if it is out there, I could see it being a piece that they just say, we don't know where this comes from. They're not going to confirm it's aliens, but it's just going to be, we don't know where this comes from. Bob, what's your thoughts?
I'm kind of with you. I just if ugly activities were involved in any of the retrievals, they won't be brought up because there'll be the possibility of too many questions being asked, and then crimes being charged and civil suits filed and so forth and so on. So I just think there's a lot of stuff that's baggage from our past history that's going to prevent lots of stuff from coming out. There was a lot. You and everyone else in ufology know all of the stories about Roswell, about how the local civilians and the people in the hospitals, the sheriff's department, et cetera, were treated. They were treated really badly. I mean, those are horror stories. And there are too many of them for them to all be false. So I just doubt Roswell comes out because there are too much fallout will happen. So I just think if there is a crash retrieval, it'll be one that largely is unknown.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to get specific about crash retrievals. I think the crash retrieval, as Eric Davis calls it, it's the legacy UAP crash retrieval program. I think that's the focus. Whether or not they get into specific cases, I have no idea. But yeah, Bob is right. I have a friend who had a sighting with her family. It was either the 60s or 70s, and they were threatened with death. You know, the entire family and other families who saw it in the area, they were all threatened with death. And if there are other people who were murdered, it's like, and I spoke about this with Grant earlier tonight. It's like, how do we handle that? If those people are still alive, do we give them amnesty in exchange for their testimony, or do we prosecute? Can you prosecute after all these years? Or they were just doing their job is going to be the answer. They were just following orders, but I don't buy that. If it's murder, you know.
In most states in the United States and at the federal level, I don't believe there's a statute of limitations on murder.
Right.
Interesting.
How do you think the American people would react to that if there were murders to keep the secret quiet? Would they say, well, now that we know if we ever find out what the real story is, well, it was justified because if they would have let that secret out, the society would have collapsed. You know, it's like it's a really big moral question there.
The reactions will be varied, but there will be some really harsh reactions to admission of murder.
And that's what that's always what I've said to our listeners on this show, guys, is we don't know what has gone on. We don't know what they have, what they don't have. They may have information. They may have aliens at Area 51 or Dugway or Dulce or wherever. We don't know what is happening. We don't know that information. And there's a lot, as you said earlier, Joe, decades of secrets and cover-ups and potentially, as you say, murder, all right, that could be attributed to this topic. That's a lot of blood on the government's hands. And I don't know if they want to admit that. And they are probably trying to figure out, if this story continues to explode, how do they cover it to get out of this as cleanly as possible? Because that's all a government institution wants to do, is get out of it as cleanly as possible.
And Tom DeLonge, when he spoke early on, it was 2016, I think, he was speaking to somebody. he wouldn't name who they were, but somebody in the government or intelligence agency, and he said, "Sir, I know the government has done some bad things," and the person said, "What were those bad things?" And then DeLong says, "I'm not going to tell you what I told him, but I told him a list of the bad things." And that's exactly what we're talking about. And they have to be, that's going to be a really tough decision for them. They're going to have to figure that out, and I don't envy them, especially since if they're not a part of that, if it happened in the past and they have no connection to that, good luck trying to get that information out. That's a tough one.
Yep.
Power comment by Bob there. Yep. It's confirmed.
I'm just telling you.
It's
telling you, it's going to be ugly and rough if they ever make those admissions.
Can they, Bob?
I don't believe they can.
Now, I
just don't believe so. We might admit that aliens are real, UFOs have landed or crashed, and we've got bodies and alive ones and craft. But we will never, ever admit the illegal things that were done in our name in the past. It just won't happen.
And as Bob says that, tomorrow we see the front page of New York Times says, "Government admits to murdering over UFOs." Oh, God.
I just don't believe it. I don't believe it'll happen.
No, I agree. That's. I don't see it happening. I'll be shocked if it happens. I'm just amazed. It's going to come up, though. It's definitely going to come up if we have hearings. It's going to come up. So I'm really curious to see. And there's going to be a lot of people that we don't know about who were threatened, who will come out of the woodwork.
All right. Well, that brings up another point, as we only got about 3 minutes left here. Are there people smart enough in the media outside of George Knapp, who's the biggest voice, and maybe Ralph Blumenthal? All right. Is there anybody smart enough to take this line of questioning? And is there anybody smart enough on the political side to answer this line of questioning? Joe.
Danny Sheehan would be my first person to look into this. Daniel Sheehan is brilliant. He's so knowledgeable. He's been involved with Blue Book Files in the past. I don't know if anybody's ever listened to him. Just listen to some of his videos. He was part of the hearings, the mock hearings, the disclosure hearings, where they kind of treated it like a Senate hearing. I don't know what year, if it was 2000, when John Burroughs was there, and there were witnesses that spoke to people who were former politicians, and he is brilliant. So as far as politicians on the other side, I don't know. That's a tough one. I mean, I don't know. Rubio's now interested, but I have to think about that as far as what politicians I would want helping make that decision, because it's such a out of the box subject for most of them.
Bob,
I'm going to agree on Danny Sheehan. A lot of people don't know the story because people in our community know of his interest in UFOs, aliens, and consciousness, etc. Danny Sheehan defended the ability of the New York Times and the Washington Post to publish the Pentagon Papers. He utterly changed the history of the world by getting the newspapers protected under the First Amendment when they published the Pentagon Papers, and it changed the course of the United States in the Vietnam War. Danny Sheehan is one of the most important lawyers in the history of the country, not just in our area, and he is a brilliant man. A lot of people don't know that one of his first jobs was working for F. Lee Bailey. The guy has an unbelievable history, and he is a person I admire deeply. And he would be a good person to ask about how the government might deal with the fact that crimes were committed in the attempt to cover up what was believed about these UFOs. And I believe it when people say that there's a group of people in the government that believes that they're from the devil and acted accordingly.
And I actually think those people might be onto part of the story. I don't think this entire phenomena is quote unquote evil, but I think an aspect of it might be in that realm of the non-physical, and they might have a part of the story, but we need to not study it is just unacceptable to me. They don't want us to study it, and to me that's just not an option. And people need to see the movie The Post. It's about the Pentagon Papers. It's a great movie, and yeah, Daniel Sheehan is just amazing, and he has to be a part of this. And you know what? I got my picture taken a couple years ago with Daniel, and the one thing I will say about him, fantastic hair. Oh,
Great tight curls. Hey, we're going to be right back with hour 3 of Spaced Out Radio. More with Science Bob. We'll see if Joe will stick around for another 30. We'll see if we can convince him to do that. We got the news and the thought of the day as well. Stay tuned. Executive decision, Joe. You're sticking around with us?
Yeah, I'll stay another half hour.
Oh, look at that, Science Bob. We got him. We got him on the hook.
I will not.
Good.
I will not sleep. I have to finish. I have 2 good blogs coming out that I've held for a long time that are. I won't talk about them because I want to get them out first. I have a history of talking about stuff and not doing it, but they're kind of done. They're kind of done. I just have to format and write intros. So.
I'll be right back, guys. You guys chat away to our YouTube people.
Okay.
Alrighty.
Yeah. I know Daniel Sheehan has been saying that TTSA is pushing the threat angle, and then I heard he flipped, but then somebody talked to him recently and said he's still pushing that angle, that TTSA is pushing the threat angle too much. But like you said, if we don't know where they're from, how could you not talk threat? It has to be on the table.
Well, that is the role of government in dealing with the unknown. Are they a threat? And if they are a potential threat, what do we do to prepare for that threat? That is the job of government in dealing with the unknown. Is it a threat, and how do I prepare in case it's a threat? That we war game everything, because that's what you do. That's how you wind up victorious, is you simulate in war game.
And it's something I really want to talk about if we can, when Dave gets back, about how do you determine if a certain phenomena is negative or positive. And I don't know if you saw me talking about it today on Twitter. I talked about it with Grant Cameron. We got a little heated about it. He's like, well, 80% of the experiences talk about it being positive. I'm like, well, that doesn't mean it's positive. That means that whatever this intelligence is can pass itself off. It's coming across as positive to the experiences, but I don't know if that means the intent of this phenomena is positive. That doesn't mean, even with healing, and I know you've had your personal experience, and then Chris Bledsoe, I'm like, I don't know what the intention of that is. Yes, people have been healed. People supposedly have been given the gift of healing, but I don't know the intentions of that. It's a good thing, but if it's just one phenomenon like Jacques Vallée speaks about, then it's probably, there may be some more darkness there than we were ready to admit. And there are a lot of people who think it's just all happy ETs here, and they're trying to help humanity. I'm thinking it's probably a mixture of a lot of stuff. And to tell you the truth, I'm confused about that. I change my mind every day trying to figure out what the heck is going on.
Okay, I have one statement that I always make. Lots of experiencers report the following. They are abducted by people that come into their bedroom at night. They are taken away and raped. And children are produced, and they are stolen from them. That is not positive in any way, shape, or form.
I agree. That's a really great point. And if the one phenomena is connected to that, then all bets are off. If it's just one phenomena, like Vallée has suggested, and I have somebody who I'm going to start working with who's had all those different experiences, including that. And he's like, yeah, that is not fun, but he also has some positive experiences. And I'm definitely confused about that. It's probably, and I spoke to somebody who really close to one of the top names in the field. And basically I said, so what do you think? And he's like, it's a shit show. That was the quote. He's like, there's so much confusing evidence. If you look into this, it's so contradictory. He goes, we cannot figure it out. You think you have it, and then all of a sudden something else comes up, and you're like, yep, that just totally undermines what I just learned. So it's like, it's a challenge. It's probably the biggest challenge I think humanity has faced trying to figure out what this is.
Well, all you need to do is get to know and talk to Melinda Leslie, and I promise you some of the stuff that happens is not good.
Yeah, and I interviewed her in 96, 97, no, probably like 97, and I met her at a UFO conference, and I was doing a show back then. And I met her back then. I was like, she seems so credible. It's like, but what she's talking about doesn't make any sense. What are these military abductions? But yeah, that's that alone. If there's military and non-humans together, man, that's, yeah.
Aliens, man. Yep. It's all about aliens.
Are there aliens? Are there really aliens? It's like, remember when Seth Shostak said, there's no evidence that aliens are coming here. I'm like, you know what? He might be right. There's more evidence that somebody's already here and they've been here. They're not really coming from another planet. Although that might be going on too.
I got to tell you, I'm a little pissed off right now, Science Bob, that you saw Neo Wise. and I haven't yet. So
well, I just knew where it was. So, look, everyone ought to get the app Stellarium and put it on their phone.
What is it?
Stellarium. Stellarium. Stellarium.
Hold on.
Put it on your phone.
What does it do?
You could type in things like Comet Neowise, and it'll show you a picture of the sky and show you where it is on the sky. You hold your phone up at the sky, and you go, "Oh yeah, there it is."
Okay, I will do that.
Do you got Stellarium or Stellarium Plus?
I have Stellarium Plus because it's so cheap.
Dave, we were talking about how do you determine the intent of the phenomena, even when it's a positive feeling. And you and I talked about that with your experiences. And it's like that day I was arguing with you that, you really can't tell just because it shows you that it looks like an ET. I'm like, you don't know if it's an ET, whatever. You don't know the intentions. And then I was disagreeing with you. But then the next day I'm like, somebody communicated with me, a smart person with a lot of contacts, and said, well, here's what's going on. It's this race is here. This race is here, these interdimensionals are here, the negative aspect. And I'm like, okay. And then the next day I'm like, I don't know if I believe that. It's like, it's so hard to nail down.
It is.
And not that somebody's lying to me, but I don't know, just because they believe that doesn't mean I believe it. It's really difficult. It's confusing.
Well,
you want to get confused? Come hang out with our Keith Andrews.
You haven't hung out with our Keith yet. He's random, man. He's random.
I don't know him.
First Friday of the month on this show, man. He's out there. He is out there. Science Bob loves him. Science Bob loves him.
He's entertaining, even if he's making it all up.
At Kid John.
I have a friend who...
Boom. Here we go, guys. We got music on.
If you'd like to connect with us, head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show
here we go.
Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is underway tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We welcome back everyone listening in across North America on our terrestrial affiliates and on the digital side on TalkStream Live and Revolution Radio. All of our archives are free for you at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Comophorus. Comophorus is our password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you, including Rocket Out to Bumblefoot, and Captain Shirk has you all up to date on the SOR Newswire. On Instagram, you can follow us at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. For the final time tonight, we bring in Science Bob and Joe Mergia. We're talking UFOs, the Wilson documents, what to believe, what not to believe, and we're going to continue on that conversation right now. All right. Now, Joe, right before the break, you were talking about experiences. You don't know how to really gauge someone's experiences because you have to take them at their word. We don't know if they're evil. We don't know if they're good, if we're being played, if it's demonic, if they're from outer space. We really do not know. This is the trouble that we have always had in this field. So as we take today's research, which we are trying to prove, like you are with the Wilson documents, Science Bob is with the scientific side of everything, how do we blend in your opinion, the experiencers who have felt this firsthand?
It's really difficult. I know that, a large percentage of them have, a positive experience. And then I'm going to refer to, I'm not a religious person, but, you've always heard back in the Bible that these demons or whatever, I'm not even sure exactly if they're called demons in the Bible, that they basically deceive. So I have that in the back of my mind that some of these interdimensional beings, if that's what's visiting us, if that's what's part of what's visiting us or interacting with us, that's kind of what they were referring to. And so I wouldn't trust, I can't trust anything if I go by that. So if it's a positive experience, that doesn't mean it's really positive. It might be just a deception, trying to throw us off, trying to make it look like they're ETs here to help us. So I have that in the back of my mind with a lot of this stuff. So it's hard for me to believe anything. And it's confusing because there are days where I'm like, oh, I figured it out. This is easy. Jacques Vallée, come on, this is simple. And then an hour later, I'm like, I have no idea what's going on. I'm confused. I'm confused. It's like every day with that particular subject aspect, I really don't know what's going on. And I don't know. Dave, I don't know how we're going to solve that. I really don't. Whether or not we have technology that one day we could look into other dimensions and see what's going on. I think that will be coming. I don't know if it'll be in my lifetime, but as far as experiences, I don't ignore it. And I know a lot of stuff goes on with healing of animals and healing of humans and passing on the ability to heal. And I'm working with somebody who's had an experience like that. And it's an amazing healing experience. It's very similar. The story is very, very similar to Chris Bledsoe. And this person is thinking about going public, which is a really big deal for them. And hopefully if they decide to do that, the story is amazing. But I've had the discussion with him. I'm like, you're getting downloads, you're getting information. How do you know that information is positive? It's not something to distract you, make you look bad down the future. If you make some sort of prediction and it doesn't happen, it's going to discredit you. I'm like, I don't know that. So I'd like the information they're getting. It reminds me of the Book of Ra, which is one of the better, in my opinion, from what I've heard from other people. It's one of the better channeled books. It's similar to that material. But as soon as you go there, I'm getting you've lost your mind, you're into the woo-woo stuff. I'm like, you're right, and that's where I'm going. I will go full woo in the future because consciousness and that aspect of it are exactly where I'm going. And that's exactly where I started back in the 90s. And I became conservative over the years, and I'm heading back in that direction because that's the only way we're going to find out what's going on, in my opinion.
Oh, there's never anything wrong with dipping yourself into the woo pool, unless there's a snake in there. Then you got to blow the whole damn thing up. But never be afraid to dip into the woo pool, my friend. Ever.
We need a plethora of woo.
Yes, we do.
I'm not afraid. Yeah, I just laugh when people just.
But that brings up a good point. And Bob, I want to get your reaction to this after I ask this question to Joe. Okay, there are so many in this field that are anti-experience, that they don't believe that the experience has anything to do with it. We should not be going down that road. It's unscientific. It's unhealthy for the entire field, Joe. Yet you are one who was on that side. Grant Cameron was that way as well, and many others. And now they're finding out that there is no choice. You have to go down that road to investigate the possibilities. That's tough for a lot of people to take, Joe.
Yeah, well, it's tough for a lot of people to take, but they're going to have to. I think eventually you're going to see that's where the masses will go too. They're going to investigate to say all of a sudden 10 million people wake up, they're going to see the New York Times article and they're going to say, what is this all about? And I'll say, you know what? This is what I think. And it's going to be hard to take. And it's very metaphysical and it's very spiritual. And a lot of it right now we can't prove. But this is what we think is going on. And I think people outside of ufology, and I think actually some of the more religious people may be more open to that than some of the people in ufology, because the people in ufology are just closed. A lot of them are closed off to that stuff. They do not want to hear it. And I'm like, you need to unfollow me because that's where I'm going. And if it bothers you that much, you need to stop. And I can't control, how they react to it. But, it's such a key. Consciousness has always been a big part of it between healing. I took the William Bankston healing class, and it's some of the best information for healing. It's all about data. If you're a scientist, Bill Bankston is the guy. I mean, it's all data. He's all data driven, and it still gets ignored. If I put it on Twitter, I get like 5 out of 7,000 followers. I get like 5-10 people react to it. And it's all data, Dave and Bob. It's all data. The guy is amazing. He's done experiment after experiment with mice being healed of mammalian cancer. And it's just impressive that these mice are living their full lifespans. When they get the cancer, they live 27 days max. But it's too much for people to take. They have their lines. They have UFOs are okay. Anything spiritual, I don't want to hear. And then you have people who are like, UFOs are okay. UFO spiritual aspect, that's okay. Healing, nope, don't want to hear it. And it's Bankston's called it the boggle effect or the boggle factor. Everybody has their line. And for me, I try not to have a line, but there is a line. If I hear Montauk, I'm like, nope, I don't want to hear it. But now Montauk is back in play for me with one of the guys I'm talking to. So it's like, okay, here we go. Talk about rabbit hole. It's the biggest rabbit hole ever after I've avoided that hole for a long time.
Bob, you have seen and talked with Chris Bledsoe, who has, been compared to a healer, and you've dealt with people along those lines. All right. You met my friend Pascal, who opened me up. and had a very intriguing conversation there. Now, for somebody coming from the scientific background that you have, how do you bring that upon the forefront that in order to get the right answers, you may have to go into areas that you're not comfortable with?
Okay, so look, science is not about refusing to ask questions about areas you're uncomfortable with. Science is about collecting enough data on whatever your interest is so that you can formulate a hypothesis for what's going on. And then you test the hypothesis by gathering more data. So a good scientist is not going to refuse questions about or phenomenon that are dealing with the field of consciousness or something like that. And recently, there are now mathematical models and other things that are being formulated, like Hoffman out in California, et cetera, about consciousness. And I think we're beginning to see science move into these less comfortable areas, but they're doing it as a scientist would do. They're finding data, and we are dealing with it as data and making hypotheses. Scientists will do what they are accustomed to doing, but they have to do it on their own terms, which is consistent with the way their philosophy takes them.
And I don't want people to think that I'm rejecting that there's some, quote unquote angelic assistance or positive interdimensional assistance here helping us. I do not reject that whatsoever. I mean, that may be what's going on with healing and all of that. I'm just trying to keep an open mind and not, because I don't know the intentions. I don't know the origins of any of that stuff. But, I'm not ruling anything out. Just want to make sure people are clear on that.
But that's the whole point, is in this field, it doesn't matter whether we're talking UFOs, aliens, consciousness, Bigfoot, ghosts. The majority of us either have no idea what we're actually trying to study or solve, and those who would have that ability do not want to go down that road for any potential ridicule. I mean, it's almost like it's a losing role in everything, and the more we press, the more we start looking into this field, like you have, Joe, and Bob, yourself as well, and many others, where it takes us down this path that we never expected. All of a sudden, we're kooky. We've thrown in the towel. We've gone down roads that we weren't supposed to go down. We put our credibility on the line, and that's not really a fair assessment, Bob.
Well, I agree with that, and I'm sure that there are people who know me that feel that I've made a mistake by deciding to follow my interest in this field. But I'm going to do it as a person that refuses to face the fact that there's an interesting phenomenon. And this interesting phenomenon is a source of data that we can use to figure out stuff about it. And that's what good science is. It's accepting the phenomenon and figuring it out. And the philosophy behind how to do all of that is well understood, and it's taken us from making little rocks out of big ones and learning how to rub sticks together and make fire to rockets that are landing vertically, and the guy building a big silver one to go to Mars, and quantum computers and miraculous healings from medicine and science. But to say that there's nothing to be learned by observing people doing a healing to try to figure out how to gather data on what's happening is the refusal to do science, not doing bad science. It's bad not to do science. If there's a phenomenon that is impactful on humanity, we should study it.
And I really have a great addition to what Bob just said, and I agree with everything he said. And so yesterday I'm on Kit Green's mailing list. I'm sure other people are on his mailing list. And he sent out a link to a movie. And I really want to read this. The website is infinitepotential.com. So this is Kit Green, who was there in the original days of the remote viewing program. And he works with experiencers, with Gary Nolan, who's from Stanford, So here's the quote about this movie. It says, Einstein considered him to be his spiritual son. Robert Oppenheimer was his thesis advisor. But the scientific orthodoxy ultimately dismissed the radical work of physicist David Bohm, who introduced consciousness into quantum theory. Discover the little-known story by registering and watching the film. And you can watch it for free, and it starts in 1 day and 10 hours. People need to go and watch it. It's something exactly what we're talking about. Somebody who wasn't afraid to look at that, infinitepotential.com. I learned about it earlier. I'm like, this is perfect timing because that's where we're heading. I think more scientists will open up this UFO disclosure, I think, or more disclosure will actually open the door for a lot of people to say, okay, it's time we looked into this aspect of life.
Okay,
so that's a great deal. This movie, and the Dolanites that are listening will know that I've led a conversation about David Bohm in the Dolan Forum for several months. David is an interesting person, and Oppenheimer was his thesis advisor. But I'm going to tell you, Oppenheimer and Bohr, they betrayed David Bohm. That's a long story. I hope that's covered in Infinite Potential.
I did not know that. I do not know about a lot about him.
I want to bring this back to our listeners, guys, for just a moment here, because a lot of listeners, and I read the chat rooms nightly as they're going on, and a lot of listeners that I notice to this show, they're confused. There's so much information, disinformation out there. They're in a proverbial UFO / paranormal tug of war on where they should almost put their minds and their allegiance. How do you, Bob, and we'll start with you on this one, how do you define what is truthful and what isn't in this field when there's so much bickering, backstabbing, and everybody trying to get to the top of the mountain when it comes to UFOs?
Okay, me personally, what I do is if it's something that I can gather data or I can learn the history, the path, the detailed lifetime of the data, I will look at it. But outside of that, it's a story. I don't mind listening to a good story, but I'm not going to take major action based on a good story unless there's actual data that I can work with. So that's my bias, is I'm going to go with where there's data I can look at, not just a story. I'll listen to it. I might enjoy it, but I'm not going to do a lot with it.
Okay, so let's take someone, and I'm going to just, pull someone right out of the blue here. You take someone like Grant Cameron, who has for the last couple of decades been in that upper echelon of researchers out there. And he's pushed his research to levels that he probably never thought he would be going. You have the people out there who absolutely believe that Grant is heading into the directions that he is supposed to be heading, whether it's through consciousness, whether it's just through research, and that's where the path takes him. But you have the other group out there who is like, well, I don't believe a thing he's saying. I don't believe his sources. I don't believe in the Wilson documents. I don't believe that any president knows about UFOs, so on and so forth. How do we go about generating that and changing that type of thinking when that's what the research is allegedly showing? Because this is where people out there listening who may not be on the inside like you guys are, who are wondering what is really going on.
Me personally, it took 24 years. 96 for me to go through everything and use my discernment. And there are things I believed early on, which I don't believe anymore, but there are things that I rejected early on that I'm like, you know what? And I shouldn't use believe. I'm more open to it now. Before I even met, for me, it is a great thing to have a friend like Eric Davis, which I never planned for that to happen, because when he tells me something, I'm not saying I don't disagree with him because we disagree on Lazar, but when he tells me something about the history of ufology, I could take it to the bank because he has a memory like a computer. He is a walking encyclopedia. And he's like, yeah, Hal Puthoff calls me that too. I'm like, yeah, well, it's true. It's amazing. But for me personally, it was just years and years of reading and then using my personal intuition. And it's not science. I mean, a lot of the stuff I can't, at this point, it's not science. I think in the future it will be science, but right now it's just my own discernment, whether or not if I'm reading a book, I'm like, you know what, this really doesn't ring true for me. I'm not even going to bother finishing it. That's basically what I do. And it's really not a great, and people are like, well, that doesn't really help, but you have to decide for yourself. If you're really not open to the stuff, then you're just not ready for it. That's fine. Just go with what you're comfortable with for now. A lot of people aren't comfortable with crash retrieval, but I think really in the next couple of weeks or months, that will change. So it's hard, because the evidence is not there yet. Some of it is though, like with psychic abilities, just read Dean Radin's book. There is, the conscious universe. There is evidence out there. There's evidence that remote viewing is legitimate. People reject it. Look at Jessica Otts, who did the statistics on the remote viewing program. So you really have to really dig and don't listen to the skeptics. Dig yourself. I guess I really need to come up with a page of all the best information I think is out there. And I try to seek there is a lot of science out of there. There is a lot of science out there. As far as jump rooms, I can't provide science on that, or Montauk. I can't provide science. Maybe something on a black hole or wormhole, maybe. But there is, you can definitely present evidence that's scientific that backs up a lot of this woo stuff, which to me is not woo. It's just a normal human ability that we've either forgotten or we didn't. It's something that we just don't realize we have.
That is very true. Bob, your opinion?
I'm willing to consider, entertain almost any notion so long as there's something I can grab onto and study, because that's who I am and that's been my life. I will not reject anything out of hand. I won't spend my time on it unless it has something that I can grab onto and study. That's just me. And I don't like people really being ugly to people about what their beliefs are, because I don't know that I'm right. How can any of us know that we're right or wrong? So what we have are opinions, and we learn to deal with others' opinions and beliefs, and that's the best we can do, is be respectful of people, and then decide what it is we want to do with our time. So to the extent we have freedom to do that. There you go. That's my input.
Mm-hmm. That's a perfect.
Go ahead, Joe.
2-minute warning.
2-minute warning.
No, it's a perfect thing. I want to send Bob, the Bill Bankston stuff, because for me, he's just a perfect scientist. He's a sociologist and a statistician, and he can't get he gets funding for all of his experiments, and they're expensive experiments, and it's really difficult to do experiments with mice nowadays because it's, a lot of people have a problem with that. But he's working with Dean Radin. They're trying to record what's going on during the healing. And the healers they use are students in the universities where they do the studies. They're skeptics. If they're skeptics, he's like, perfect. That's exactly what I want. I do not want believers. You do not need to be a believer. Here's the technique. You learn it. Here's the mice. The mice has cancer. It's going to die in 27 days. Let's see what happens. And the mice live. The control group dies. And it's amazing work. And it's like one of my top things. I will interview him one day. I took his class, and it gets into woo because the technique is based on manifesting. And people are like, oh my God, manifesting? The secret? Come on. But that's the technique, and the side effect is healing. It's amazing, and it's something I've never. It's similar to other manifesting techniques out there. There's one difference, and I'll share it with Bob. And it's just basically you're going through. I want to share the information, but it's basically you're going through the images that you want, and it's nothing new, but it's at a hyper speed. It's like you're going through images in your head, and it's so fast. And Grant took the class too. But he's amazing. Bankston is amazing. He won the Dinsdale Award. Hal Puthoff gave it to him. It was at when the conference came here 2 years ago. I forget which conference it was. It's the what's the scientific? I forget they have a journal of scientific exploration. Are you aware of that one, Bob?
I'm not, but there are many journals.
So it's basically a lot of papers where you can't get it published in a normal journal. Mainstream journal, they will go there, and it's a lot of UFO stuff, a lot of consciousness stuff, But yeah, I would love to get your take on Bankson because I know you're open-minded to it.
Well, we're gonna have to wait for that, guys, because I got to shut this thing down. I want to say, Science Bob, thank you for coming on short notice. Joe Mergia, thanks for reaching out and coming back on the show and joining us for some very interesting, intriguing, and very thought-filled critical thinking tonight, gentlemen. Another great show here with our guests, Joe Mergia, UFOJoe.net, Science Bob McGwier. Just looking him up, Science Bob. He's all over the place because I think the nickname is sticking. Coming up next, we have the SOR Newswire and the Thought of the Day. Stay tuned. Spaced Out Radio continues after this. Now it's going to be funny because now that you guys are leaving, the mass exodus is going to start on my YouTube channel. We're down 2 already in like 8 seconds.
Oh, it was fun, Dave, and I'm glad we were able to put together something at short notice.
No, I appreciate that. Told you, Bob, we would get through it.
Oh, I'd never doubted it.
Bob's like, what the hell are we going to talk about? I don't know. We'll figure out something. I'm a pro.
Indeed, Joe, it was good talking to you again.
Yeah, you
Dave,
too, Bob.
you have a good evening.
Hey, Joe,
have a good night.
Joe, before you go,
Yes.
I got a couple of people asking about what your YouTube channel is.
Yeah, I wish I could give you the URL. It's not personalized yet because I don't have 1,000 followers. But if they go on Twitter, I will put it. I will link to it right now because it's some long address that really stinks. But once I get I think 1,000 followers, I could make it unique. So I'm going to put it on Twitter right now. Or where should I put it? I don't know how to get to your chat room.
Well, you're old, so I mean, you probably have troubles finding the whole YouTube thing. But
I have the link. I have it copied right now. But where's Spaced Out Radio? Like, where's your chat room? Because I went there, I didn't see any chat.
You got to click on the live show, and the chat room will be on there on the right.
You can't paste a URL on YouTube.
That's right.
On chat.
Yeah, only.
But can I paste it in the chat room though?
No, send it to me, and I'll send it on Twitter, and then I will grab it and set it on here.
All right, I'm gonna do it right now. Got it.
Yeah, you can add it to the caption.
Yeah, I'm that guy.
It's gonna take. Let's see.
My God.
The guy who I'm working with is really interesting military with a long history of military, and we're trying to vet some of it, and so far everything checks out, but not all of it. And not that it's not checking out, just can't find it. And he had a healing, and a priest was involved in Long Island, and he wound up getting his eyes checked after the healing at a VA hospital on Long Island, which I just coincidentally spent 9 months volunteering with dying veterans starting on September 11, 2001. We were at the same hospital at different times, which is really, really interesting coincidence. Trying to find you. And I'm talking to the priest tomorrow who was there for the healing, and it's very similar to Bledsoe as far as what they saw, and a lady is involved.
Interesting.
It's not a lady. Yeah, it's a very similar lady that he saw, and this guy's amazing. Let's see. I'm trying to find. Why do I not find you on Twitter?
At Spaced Out Radio.
Oh, yeah. I was looking in the DMs, but whatever. I'll just send it to you that way. Got it. And there we go.
Cool.
Are we still live?
Yes. Well, no. I mean, we're in commercial. We're in commercial.
Are we on YouTube?
Yeah, we're still on YouTube.
It's still on.
Yeah. So I sent it. There you go. There's not a lot on there, but they can look at my last one. I took questions during the last one.
Okay, Joe, the critical thinking you want to be after with this guy is, are others able to repeat what he does that are not in some way have a conflict of interest? So if that's doable, then this is something to listen to.
Try to explain that?
Okay, you want people that have nothing to do with this guy repeating what he does.
But all he's doing is sharing information, and then he's channeling supposedly from an extraterrestrial source and sharing information like every other channeled book. That's basically what he's doing. That's it. I don't know if he has any special abilities. I mean, I know he meditates a lot. So I don't know really how to prove that aspect of it. I mean, the military background is something we're looking into now. So far, a lot of it checks out.
That's interesting.
And the healing took place after he was working on a spill. He was working for a fire department, and his eyesight, his optic nerve was damaged beyond repair. And he went to this priest and said, "Hey, can I walk my dog outside here?" And he's like, "Yeah, no problem." He's like, "Okay." And he said, "Can I go to confession with you?" And he's like, "Well, you're not Greek Orthodox." He goes, "But I'll give you the light version." And he did, and they both felt this amazing electrical shock go through both of them. And my friend saw this woman there, and he told the priest. The priest did not see her, but the priest wants to talk. The priest is very excited to talk to me about the story. I will send you the link. I don't want to make it public yet, but yeah, I'll send you the story. And his story is very interesting, and it's very controversial, some of the stuff he talks about. And I talked to him for a couple hours, and it was great. It was a great conversation. He's
gentlemen.
He knows.
Gentlemen, I gotta let you
Really,
guys.
Dave?
I gotta let. You, I know. I gotta let you guys
We'll talk
go.
soon, Bob.
You guys got to talk away from here. I apologize, but
All
I
right,
gotta go
we'll
to the
talk-
air.
we'll talk-
Good night, guys.
I'll contact you, Bob. See ya.
Bye.
See ya.
Damn it! I wanted to hear that. Son of a gun. Oh well. Now I'll never know the end of the story. Thanks, Grendel and Cat Chaser, for the super chats tonight. I very much appreciate that, guys. Very much appreciate that. Let's kick things off here. We've rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Good to have each and every one of you with us tonight. I want to remind you that if you've missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show and on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Speaking of the news, oh, here it comes. The news is always changing, which is why we bring you the SOR Newswire at the back end of every show, where we get to the weird, the strange, the wacky, and sometimes the unexplained. A man has shared pictures of what he describes as a crash site hidden deep within Devon Woodland over the United Kingdom. Ben Landercombe said he discovered an area of flattened trees in the woods near Medden at around 4 p.m. this past Monday while taking his dog for a walk. He said, "Found a crash site in the woods, could be UFO. Stopped to take the dog for a walk in the woods today as we were camping." He said there was no indication as to why all of these giant trees were pulled down, adding that they were snapped at the top. And that's what I thought was strange. Ben continued, "We took the dog for a walk and it felt eerie, and we were walking about a mile and came across this. We took the pictures and then felt someone was watching us and heard weird sounds, so we ran back to our camper." Yeah, this is some strange place, he said. Ben said he wouldn't be going back because it was spooky, and he recalled hearing screams. Speaking on video, he could be heard saying, "Something has definitely crashed here. Look at this. Boom, weird, massive gap in the woods, and all the trees were literally laying over on top of each other like they had been pushed down by something very, very large." The weird part about this is there's no burn marks. There's nothing burnt on the ground. All the trees are lying in the same direction. Very, very strange. Very strange. I want to go look at this. I totally want to look at this. Okay. You know my loathing for the game of soccer. All right? I feel sorry for every child that is forced to play this game. Here's another reason why we need to ban soccer. An animal control officer in the state of Ohio had to come to the rescue of an owl that apparently flew into a soccer net and became entangled. See, now it's hurting wildlife. This is why we need to take this seriously about banning soccer. The Westlake Police Department said Animal Control Officer Jim Wang was dispatched when an owl was spotted stuck in an unattended soccer net. Wang disentangled the great horned owl from the net and took the bird to the Lake Erie Nature Center for evaluation. A rehabilitation expert at the center said the young owl was found to be uninjured, thank goodness. Could have been much worse if the hooligans had come out from the stands, and will be released back into the wild during the weekend. I'm telling you, soccer is dangerous, people. Totally dangerous. We need to ban that game. Totally need to ban that game. All right. A Dauphin, Manitoba woman is warning other outdoorsy Manitobans to be careful after she was hit in the face by a startled black bear while running in the Riding Mountain National Park. Erin McKenzie and her dogs were on the Moon Lake Trail in the park, about 250 kilometers northwest of Winnipeg, running a 10-mile loop that she does regularly. She was climbing up a steep hill with her 4 dogs a few feet ahead without leashes. All of a sudden, a black bear just came ripping out of the bush right in front of her, about a foot away. It was clearly spooked, as was she, and the bear decided to have a little bit of a boxing match with her. No word if it was wearing UFC regulated gloves, but she took one in the face, and it cut her deeply and then swiped back at her before taking off again. It was all over in a matter of seconds. She says, I really thought I was going to die when the bear was hitting me. That was extremely terrifying. I've never been that close to a bear or any kind of predatory animal like that. All I could see was blood pouring down on my shirt, my body, and my legs. Her dogs, by the way, uninjured. Good for her, you know, that she's alive, because that's a dangerous situation. Mackenzie had to hike about 5 kilometers back to her car, where her boyfriend met her in the parking lot and drove her to the hospital. The cuts on her back are fairly superficial, but the one on her face was quite deep, and there is a risk of infection. She goes, I think what I'll be just left with is a pretty ugly looking scar. Other than that, Mackenzie says she feels very lucky to be alive. Oh my goodness, that is way too close. Way too close. What they got to do is they got to move those soccer nets into the forest. Bears don't like that. They don't like soccer either. All right, moving on. Rumors of the Quesaritos' demise may or may not be greatly exaggerated. Fans of Taco Bell's burrito quesadilla combo may need to brace themselves. Rumors have surfaced on the internet that the fast food franchise may be removing the popular item from its menu, and social media is not happy about it. The unconfirmed reports, I mean, this is serious news here, okay? Very serious news. The unconfirmed reports, and let's hope they stay unconfirmed, say that the quesarito, all potato items, the beefy Frito burrito, the triple layer nachos, and the What? Don't be touching the Nacho Supreme. May soon be removed from the menu. Oh, this is not looking good, people. This is not looking good. This rumor comes as several other fast food chains have simplified their menus in response to the coronavirus pandemic. Do not give in, Taco Bell. Do not give in. A spokesperson for Taco Bell, okay, here we go, says, we are in the process of evolving our menu to simplify operations and make our team member and customer experiences easier. We'll have more to share very soon. Uh-oh. That never sounds good when you get the official statement like that. That's like when a general manager says, oh no, what are you talking about? Those rumors about the coach being fired? Never going to happen. I like the guy. Never going to happen. And then the next day he's fired. We've all seen it happen in sports. While this confirms the change to the menu is coming, it's still unclear what exactly it entails. Regardless, social media users quick to react to the changes. At Taco Bell, we've suffered enough this year. Please don't get rid of the quesarito. As one user put it, Taco Bell discontinuing potatoes and the quesarito has officially cemented this year as the worst. First, they came for the power burrito, and I said nothing, for I did not order the power burrito. Another added, now they're going for the quesarito, and there's no one left to speak for me. One user summed it up finally about their feelings. We've suffered enough. We have suffered enough. All right, let's talk a little bubonic plague, shall we? A 15-year-old boy has died from the bubonic plague in Mongolia after the teenager caught the plague after hunting and eating a marmot. Marmots are large ground squirrels, a type of rodent that have historically been linked to plague outbreaks in the region. Tests confirmed the teenager had contracted bubonic plague, and authorities imposed quarantine measures in the Tugrug area. The quarantine, which began last Sunday, will run through Saturday, and authorities have already isolated 15 people who came into contact with the teenager. All of them are healthy. Rodents are the main vector of plague transmission from animals to humans, but the disease can also be passed through flea bites from person to person. Plague killed at least 50 million people in Europe during the Black Death pandemic in the Middle Ages, but modern antibiotics can prevent complications and death if administered quickly enough. Bubonic plague, which is one of the plague's 3 forms, causes painful, swollen lymph nodes, as well as fever, chills, and coughing. Mongolia has recorded 692 cases of marmot plague from 1928 to 2018. Of those, 513 died of the disease, equivalent to a mortality rate of just over 74%. Earlier this month, 2 people tested positive for bubonic plague in the neighboring province of Kovd, prompting warnings from officials in nearby Russia. Officials from Russia's Ministry of Agriculture and Food told citizens in the border area not to hunt marmots or eat marmot meat and to take preventive measures against insect bites. The Russian embassy in Mongolia cited Sergei Diordsu, a World Health Organization representative of Mongolia, who reportedly said the province sees seasonal outbreaks of plague. There are natural foci of plague in Mongolia, and the disease is spreading by ptarmigans, or Mongolian marmots. The problem is that local residents who, despite all prohibitions and recommendations of local authorities, continue to hunt and eat them, as this is a local delicacy. Oh. Authorities, by the way, in the Chinese region of Inner Mongolia also confirmed a case of the plague in the city of Bayanur, which is northwest of Beijing. In 2019, a couple in Mongolia died after eating raw marmot kidney, triggering a quarantine that left several tourists stranded in that region. How about we just don't eat marmots? All right? Let's just not eat marmots at all. Firefighters rescued a British teenager after she climbed into a baby swing to shoot a TikTok video, then got stuck. Yep. 14-year-old Leonie McLean was filming her TikTok video because, life is all about the likes instead of going to school. She was with friends, of course, at the Oxfordshire playground when she climbed into the baby swing and found herself unable to climb back out. Oh, the girl's mother, Charlie McLean, called the fire department when she was unable to free her daughter. Can you imagine what that was like? Get out of there now, little Karen. No, Mom, I'm stuck. I don't care. Get out. It's almost supper time. But Mom, I'm stuck. I don't care. Get out. Hurry up. Mom, I'm stuck. Call the fire department. Then, Mom is going to go in behind her and, put her arms around the armpits and try to jerk her out of that thing, and it ain't going to work. All right? Yeah, that's how it all went down. You know that. Anyways, video of the rescue shows firefighters removing the swing from its hinges so the teenager could be extracted with some help of some liquid soap. Charlie McLean, the mom, by the way, says she's planning to bake a cake to thank the firefighters. Isn't that nice? Apparently, it's going to be in the shape of a swing. Fast food chain Burger King has released an advertisement encouraging farmers to change cow diets in order to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Yeah, you heard me correct. The controversial video, meanwhile, features children in cowboy hats singing about the impact of methane gas emitted to cow farts and the impact it has on global warming. Burger King claims adding lemongrass to cow diets can ease digestion and dramatically reduce the farting gas. But farmers say the ad is condescending and quite hypocritical. The ad has been trending on YouTube. It so far has been watched more than 2 million times, drawn thousands of comments, some mocking the firm's yodeling boy marketing gambit, with others swearing to cut ties with the chain. Some scientists also criticized Burger King's message and its focus on cow flatulence instead of belching. Professor Frank Mitloehner of the University of California, Davis, Department of Animal Science, wrote that it was disappointing to see the company drop the ball by promoting a study that is still ongoing and focusing on farts when belching is the bigger problem. It's not the cow farts, he wrote. Nearly all enteric methane from cattle is from belching. Suggesting otherwise turns this serious climate topic into a joke. Now, National Cattlemen's Beef Association, because, you know, the beef eaters, they're going to have their say now. They're a lobby group. Of course they are. They spoke out against the belching issue as well, saying Burger King was trying to score some easy points with consumers by launching a misleading public relations campaign. Burger King said it wanted to shine light on an issue that is important to the business and industry and defended the effort, saying it had provided data on potential solution. Cow's menu is not something that we will solve the climate change problem in the short term, but it is a scalable finding that may allow change in the future. The fast food chain said in a statement, the majority of conversation around this announcement has been overwhelmingly positive. It's all about the farts when it comes to Burger King meals now. How long until they change their name to Burger Farts or whatever? All right. Let's get back to it. We got some serious news here to finish up. Here we go. It seems like there was a major crime for Allenhurst, a town of less than 700 people in southeast Georgia. A female body was spotted by the railroad tracks around 2 p.m. this past Tuesday, not far from Dunleavy Road. Liberty County deputies gathered at the scene and waited for the coroner because this was a highly unusual case. And the body? Oh, it was in rough shape. Took a while before they realized the joke was on them. The corpse was actually a sex doll. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, somebody threw their sex doll out the window. Apparently was arguing with them. Detective Mike Albritton said officers found the female humanoid Rubbermaid garbage can turned into a sex doll, and they thought it was real. Once the coroner came to the scene, detectives began checking for the body for injuries and immediately realized it was a kink toy. Detectives said it was anatomically correct with realistic features and fully dressed. It's unclear whether authorities will investigate. All Britain says he's never encountered an incident like this before. Oh, good way to go into the thought of the day. Thought of the Day happens every night at this time, where we ask a question on our Facebook and Twitter pages, then read your responses on the air because we love the audience participation around here. Today's Thought of the Day is as follows. What is it here? What's your thoughts on using hypnotherapy for paranormal or supernatural experiences? Marty, one of our favorite veterans who listens in. We love you, Marty, for serving in the United States Air Force back during the Vietnam era. You are a hero amongst all of your military colleagues and friends. We love our veterans around here. Marty says if someone has a paranormal or supernatural experience, they don't need hypnotherapy to confirm it, but they may need hypnotherapy to deal with the ramifications on their belief system. And a very nasty looking clown tonight, Marty. Thank you. Graham, in the future, Dave, I would like, let me see here, woke agendas and modern day people with no manners. Yeah, I'm just going to butcher this one. There's a lot of insults in here that are just unnecessary for radio. We'll just end that. Jules, I haven't met anyone qualified that I would allow in my head. I would need a waiver and a non-disclosure agreement. Oh, Jules, that's actually kind of funny. Quantes, it seems dangerous. Borderline exorcism. Sorry believes it's all about planting false memories. David calls it mesmerizing. Let's go to the other panel here. Peter, you know, that's my thing. Allison, Dave, for 20 plus years, I've been wanting to do a regression. However, a couple of elders and one medicine man said I shouldn't. The medicine man said, what you do know is all you need to know. If you see what I can see it may affect your mental wellness. I've never been afraid nor felt fear, and I had a vision quest alone in the bush for weeks, but from what I saw in your life truly scared me. Consider it a blessing that you don't remember. Oh my goodness, Allison. We got to bring her back on. We got a much bigger audience now. She has an amazing extraterrestrial contact story. Caden, I believe it's beneficial, especially for those who suffered lost time. Kimberly, it helped me tremendously, but not in the ways I expected, and I think that's the point. My hypnotherapist is Yvonne Smith, and it doesn't get much better than that. Byron, I have had some good results. Byron is also an ET contactee. Sparkles, it is important to make sure that the hypnotherapist is a well-qualified and accustomed to working with people in this area. I also believe that one has to have a full commitment when entering into the process and trust towards the therapist. Alex, ideally thought, though it's best if it comes from a therapist outside the UFO field and one who knows very little about it. It's very difficult not to unconsciously lead someone into false positives. The patient will inevitably unconsciously pick up on cues from anything to eye twitches, to muscle contractions, to voice modulations, and so on. Richard, as a hypnotherapist, I work with my clients' belief systems, and everything can always be considered a metaphor if that's appropriate for the situation. Jeremy, to some, it's good. For others, not so much. It leaves scars. Nikki, I believe it's a necessary tool to survival and to better health in all ways, creating a better understanding of things which are experienced. We may not like what is done, but at least with hypnotherapy, the experiencer will gain knowledge and hopefully be trained in healthy, productive ways in how to cope and deal with what happened around them. Chris, sounds like it may be an interesting technique, but haven't seen it utilized in person. I'd be skeptical because there have been too many frauds claiming to be psychics or mediums who have sadly tainted the waters for those who are legitimate. Sir Khan, what if they are interacting with you during the so-called hypnotic regression and make you think it's a memory? Oh, that's deep. Lisa, nah, I don't trust it. I don't trust hypnotherapy in general, but especially not in this field. There's just too much woo, in my opinion. Again, what's with your thoughts, Dave? Shakes her head. Tisk, tisk, tisk. Hey, you're getting my hair. Leave my thoughts alone. You're getting my hair, lady. Yes, I donated my hair to Lisa Marie. I love you, dear. Absolutely love you. Park, I can speak from experience. It's a lot harder than you think to make the decision to have done it. I used a top-notch remote viewers blind to my event to view it. They were helping me in a missing persons case that I was working on, and they nailed it. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thaw rocking in the background with Little Brother Is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, in your cars, at work, wherever you may be. Thank you to everybody participating in our chat rooms tonight on LGAB, YouTube, Revolution Radio, Spreaker, Facebook, the Space Travelers Club at our website, and of course to all the snarkers and snarkettes that were hanging out on Twitter tonight. All of you were absolutely wonderful for Science Bob, Joe Mergia, who has great hair, and myself tonight. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, make a mistake, we're watching. We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. The Woo train is docked for the night, but do not worry, folks. Tomorrow we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we got room for them too. Good night. a good show, people. That's very good radio right there. Radio. We do that radio thing here. All right. That's good radio. HL, please erase your phone number, man. We don't allow phone numbers on the chat room. I know you're trying to get a hold of me. Reach out to me on Facebook, Twitter, privately in message, or on my email, dave@spacedoutradio.com, if you don't mind. Oh. Love me some Roy there. Take us home. Oh, hell yeah. That's my man right there. I need that every single night with him saying that. I don't know why, but it just, when I see Roy, who goes by Quest, doing that, it just like, it's like, fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. Let's do it. Let's do it. All right. All right, I'm just downloading the episode here, so bear with me. I'll be back in a couple of minutes. There we go. Let's load this sucker up. Let's find out from Eric Cooper. How's the beard? All right. Don't have to edit the back end here. Good. Let's edit the front end. Oh, too much. Right about there. That is good right there. Amplify this. No, we don't want to change it to that. All right, let's go here. Let's find that file now. There it is. There it be. There it is. Create 2 new files. All right, here we go. Let's start the editing process. Tomorrow night, Tim McMillan joins us. So it'll be more UFO news tomorrow. Just the way it kind of worked out. I apologize. Usually we try and mix it up a little bit more, but this week it's not going that way. All right, 12 a.m. All right. Let's see what we got here. Hold on. See if we can pick this up. Hey, did my video work for you guys? $1 a.m. our time. Damn it, you guys are going to make me stay up. Okay, at 1 a.m., there's this video that Third Phase of Moon is going to put on, and it's about this photograph of an alleged alien that was apparently caught by a police officer. So they actually asked my opinion on this. Yeah, hard to believe, I know. But make sure you check it out. Third Phase of Moon starting at 1 a.m. So in 52 minutes. Make sure you check that out. Now I got to stay up and watch that and see how ugly I look on camera. All right. Apparently they... Oh, let's go here. What am I doing? Seriously, what am I doing? All right, there we go. Now we're getting on a roll here. So the cool part about this thing with third phase of moon is I believe if they like what I'm doing, I'm going to be helping that out a little bit more when they call me to do things like that. What's really cool about it is they've got almost 1 million followers on YouTube. And, you know, a lot of those followers may not have heard of us before. And that's going to be able to open us up to a lot bigger audience. And I'm looking forward to it. I really am. I'm thankful that the Cousins brothers reached out to us to say, hey, would you mind participating in this? And that was the discussion we had last night. Remember I told you I had to get off the air because I had to talk to them? Well, that's what it was about. And I'm pretty thankful that they reached out and asked if I would be a part of this new kind of breakdown of videos that they are doing. And I think that's going to be real good for what we are doing and could push a few more people into our own chat rooms and our own and our own following. Yeah, PBR, thank you. Yes, they're over 1 million now. So I'm pretty excited about that. That's actually a real big move for us as we encroach on 8,000 people on our YouTube channel. And hey, I'm never going to say no to more people tuning us in, that's for sure. Saw what you did there, PBR 675309. You can't disguise Jenny's number just that easily, man. I hate that song, by the way. I really hate that song. The Stu Gerson is here, everybody. The Stu Gerson. Hey, Stu, I wanna get personal here for a second. Okay. And tomorrow's going to be a little bit of I'll make this announcement and I'll say some at the beginning of tomorrow's show, but tomorrow's going to be a little bit of a hard day for me because it will be the second anniversary of the passing of my nephew. And I found out on the 18th, but he died on the 17th of July, 2018. And I miss him dearly. In fact, this was his hat. And he was 29 years old. And I got a big hole in my heart for him. And Stu, I have a personal message for you on this, okay? And that you have no clue about. Okay? The reason why, Stu, that I love you being in this chat room is because when my nephew was small, and as you can see in the chat room, I kind of nickname people. Okay, I've always kind of done that. And my nickname for my nephew was Stu. And so, Stu Gerson, every time I see you in this chat room, it makes me really happy because reading the first part of your name, like, yes, you're logged in as Stu Gerson, but reading the first part of your name every time I see you in the chat room, and in my head I say, Stu's here. It reminds me of my nephew, and I'm very, very appreciative every time you come on in here, because it gives me an instantaneous thought of my boy, and I really appreciate that. And my nephew overdosed on fentanyl. He was in rehab, and if you looked at him, you would never ever think that he was a junkie. And I'm going to write something special up tomorrow for it, because and I'm going to do that on the 17th of July every single month. And but Stu, I don't know if you're still in the chat room or not hearing this, because I know you were in earlier. But thanks for coming on in and allowing me to kind of use your name as a positive memory to someone that I love and miss dearly. And yeah, I appreciate you for that, man. Totally appreciate you for that. So thank you. And that's all good. It's all good. Yeah. Thank you. Anyhow. One sec. I wear this hat once a year. I don't mean to be a downer. I apologize. Thanks, Stu Gerson. I appreciate you, man. I really do appreciate you. All right. There's one done. And let's remove. And let's put this in here. Okay, get your 6-digit numbers ready, because we are about to embark on, hold on, I gotta spell McGwier right. We are about to embark on an adventure called the Verification Code. Damn it. Hold on, let's see if we go like this. Wow, that did work. Excellent. Excellent. All right, your 6-digit verification code is as follows, people. If they send it. There it is. 082099. 082099. All right, now let's convert the other one. And let's go here and files, desktop. Oh, no. No, don't tell me. Oh, no. I totally did not just do that, did I? Son of a wife, I totally did. Oh, no. No, I did not. No, we're good. Sweet. Oh, new verification code time, people. New verification code. Last one was a false flag. 190540. 190540. Yeah, that's the one. Oh, I almost give myself old Davey a little heart attack there. Let's go here. Let's go there. This is good stuff here. Good stuff. I have no idea how my nephew loved wearing this hat. He had two of these. He had this white, he had a bunch of hats, but his two favorite were this one and his black one. And my dad has the black one. Nope, I'm going to save this for tomorrow because I need to wear that tomorrow. So it's funny because my nephew had a big melon on him. Big melon. And I don't know how the hell he fit into that hat. I don't. I have no idea how he fit into that hat. Lisa Marie, message for you, hun. Today was supposed to be my day off at work. I have your hair and a little special gift for you that is coming, and I didn't get an opportunity to make it to the mail or to Canada Post today, but tomorrow I plan on sending it out. So that would be really, really cool to get it out to you tomorrow. It's going to depend how busy my day is, but I'm going to try and run down to the post office in the morning to try and get it sent out. Okay. That's just me. But it is in my truck, sitting on the passenger seat. And I also have a Ziploc of my beard hair for Grandma Rose, because Fap, when he found out that I had my beard hair still available or still in a Ziploc sitting around, he's like, dude, you got to send that to Grandma Rose. She will have the biggest laugh. So I'm actually going to send her my beard. Grandma Rose is going to get it. So I'm sending that out at the same time. I think that's going to be hilarious. Gary the Spudger. Break low. Hey, Donnie C., you're a little late, man. A little late for the party, but it's better to come here than not come here at all. I got to be up at like 6:50 in the morning. I have to do a live hit at 7 a.m. In Toronto. And then and then I have to get ready for work. And then the babysitter arrives at 8 a.m. Yeah. Excuse me. The Stu Gerson, everybody. There he is. See you, PBR. Till tomorrow, man. If I become extremely attracted to Rose, we will know she is a witch. Oh, yes. Look at the lovely and talented Moonstone there. I can't even see your picture. Just looks like you have nice hair. I do work on Saturday. I work my daytime job usually till about 3, maybe 4 o'clock. And then usually I can squeeze in writing my blog while I'm there. So I try and get that in. And then... excuse me, I apologize. And then from there, I'll come home, and then in the evening when things are kind of dying down, I will come down, and my little guy's asleep. I'll come down into the studio and I'll do all the web work. I'll do all the web work for web work for the website. Fuck, how hard is that to remember? Bye, Lisa Marie. What do you need? Oh, I definitely have fallen asleep in this chair, HL. Who's got an SOR crush? I've got a crush on all of you. Even PBR. I sleep in Sundays. Hi, Dave. Would you have any idea to the shape of the craft? Is it a disc or a triangle, or does it not matter? Shape of the craft for what one? Well, thank you, Gary. We love you too. The Gary the Spudger. Anyways, love that, man. I don't know why. I just love it. I was supposed to sleep in today, but I had a ton of stuff to do. How many of you are Facebook friends with me or on Twitter following me? Just out of curiosity. I know a number of you are. Oh, why the shape of the different ones? Okay. Probably because they are different species with different technology, or some of them are our technology and they're trying to figure out which shapes work. That's the only way I've been able to kind of figure that out. Gary the Spudger. All right, so Gary the Spudger and I are on Facebook and Twitter. Lisa and I are both. Moonstone, I don't know who you are on Facebook or Twitter. Who is Moonstone? Message me and say hello, please, and thank you. Nick N follows us here. Martin, I think, follows us on Twitter. What's your show called, HL? Let me know. Yeah, we love you, Gare. Look at that mustache. I can see your I can see your mustache on the picture there. It's a good, healthy mustache, it looks like. Eva doesn't do Facebook. Does she do Twitter? Oh, Stu, I don't know how you do it, man. You're not on any social media. God bless you. Lifelong artist in the art world. Where can I see your art? I want to see your art, man. I'm going to Google H.L. Westlake. I hope that's your art name. Oh, here's some. Well, it tells me to click on. H.L. Westlake. I'm going to give it a like, man. Pages. Hard Luck Kings guitars. Why do I not see your? It's like pages or groups or. Oh, Mark Goff must be listening in. Hi, Mark Goff. I gotta add you. Here I go. That must be Steam Train Mark, because I'm seeing trains on there. Oh, hell yeah, that is. How friggin' stupid could I be? Mark, I'm going to give you a follow on Twitter, too. There, boom, done. Just like that. Let's see here. Done on that one. I want to find you, HL Westlake. Maybe I'm spelling it wrong. Do the H and the L have to be? Maybe this is you. Artist, designer, musician, writer. Oh yeah, that's definitely you. I'm adding you. Oh my goodness, are you talented? Oh, I like some of this. This is actually really cool. Oh, cool. Overbuilt. Let's see if it happens. Oh my goodness, HL. This is actually kind of cool. What the? Oh, that's beautiful. Beautiful. I'm just going to admire this for a while. If you're wondering what the hell I'm doing, I'm admiring HL's art. I love art. I can't tell you the difference of art strategies or anything. I just know what I like. And I like this. That I do know. I like that. Hey, Goof on here. Little Richie G. Let me tell you something, brother. All right. Uploaded 6 files. There we go. KCAX, you enjoy this show tomorrow. Okay, so this is what we're all going to do now. I'm going to make an executive decision here. So we're all going to, I'm going to shut this down. And what we're all going to do in support of Little Richie G and Goof on Radio and myself and Third Phase of Moon, we're all going to move this chat into Third Phase of Moon's channel. So if you haven't subscribed to them, please do. And head into their chat room. I will meet you there. I got to log off my computer here, because I got to go get ready for bed. I'm going to be up in let's see, in 6 hours. Hey, Dobromir, how are you, my friend? Reinov, there you go. So let's all sign out of here. I want to see the mass exodus. So let's go over to Third Phase of Moon's YouTube room. And at 1 o'clock, they're going to have, or in about 18 minutes, they're going to have the premiere. We can all chat in there. I will be in there. I'm sure Little Richie G will be in there. Blake and his fantastic hair will be there. And yeah, I'm sure there'll be a few others. So let's go chat in there. Have some fun. Or are they just posting a video? Is it going to be live? Because they do have an event. I don't know. Yuba Tuba. I don't want my own channel. Son of a gun. What are you doing? Third phase. I'm on. All right. Set reminder. All right. I'm going in the chat room. I just said, hi, I'm Dave. There is a chat room going on in there, everyone. Let's get all go over there. We're going to end the stream here. We're all going to go over to third phase. Hit that subscribe button over there. And make sure you give them a thumbs up. And we go from there. All right. So. Oh, thanks, Dobromir. I did it for Lisa. Yeah, if you click on the premiere of that video, there's Gary the Spudger in there. I'm reading both chat rooms right now. Gary the Spudger. Anyways, we're going to end here. We're going to go over there and make sure you hit that subscribe button.